A beautiful sunny day in Southern California. Temperatures are in the 70s. A pair of teams with records of 7 and 5 are set to go at it. Hello again, everybody. Bob Costas with Bob Trumpy. Now, we've mentioned the great running backs, Cribbs and Dickerson. There's also a quarterbacking story for each team, and we'll start with Joe Ferguson of Buffalo.
You're right. And when you talk to Joe Ferguson, you're talking about one of the game's great competitors, Bob. Last week against the Raiders, Ferguson got shillelagh'd by Rod Martin. He gets hit in the head, and for about the 12th time in his career, unconscious, can't continue. Matt Kofler comes in, does an excellent job in the second half in leading the Bills back. But Ferguson had a good week of practice. He's healthy, and he is the big play man in this big play offense.
For what it may be worth, earlier this year, he suffered a concussion against the Jets. The next time out at Miami, threw for 400 yards. They beat the Dolphins in overtime. Now, what about Ferragamo of the Rams?
Well, Ferragamo has been known in past years as the Mad Bomber here in Los Angeles. He's a Hollywood Bright Lights kid, but with the addition of Eric Dickerson, now Ferragamo doesn't have to throw the ball 50 yards down the field. Watch this completion. 10 yards in length, and Dickerson turns it into a touchdown. This is the biggest part of their offense. Get the ball to Dickerson. It's a big chance for Ferragamo now to have good stats instead of throwing those interceptions. But there is a concern with Ferragamo. 2 weeks ago, he hit his hand on a helmet, and it's a right throwing hand, and between his little finger and his ring finger, he's got 4 stitches. In the last couple of weeks, it's bothered his throwing, but it's not taped today. It's just altered his delivery a little bit. He had a decent week of practice, but he has not taken a snap in almost 2 weeks, Bob.
If for some reason he was unable to make it, they would go with Jeff Kemp, who late in last week's loss to Washington threw the first touchdown pass of his NFL career. The Rams trailed at one time in that game 42-6, wound up losing it to the Redskins 42-20. Buffalo is also coming off a defeat, but they acquitted themselves a bit better a week ago than the Rams did. Trailing 24-3 against the Raiders, Matt Kofler rallied them in the fourth quarter with a couple of touchdown passes. They tied it at 24 before a Chris Barr field goal from 36 yards on the game's last play sent the Raiders to victory.
Bob, we'll make this comment at the outset. The Bills are a much better team on the road than they are at home. 4-1 on the road. This is where they like to play. Anywhere else but Orchard Park.
Joe Danello to kick off. They have had a procession of kickers in Buffalo the past several years. Nick Mickemeyer, Ephraim Herrera, Fred Steinfurt, and now Danello. Henry Ellard is the deep man. And the rookie from Fresno State takes it at the 3. And has a little room. He gets outside. And to the 40-yard line before Rob Riddick drove him out. A return of 37.
Big start. Coaches always look for the special teams play at the beginning of a ball game to kind of set the tone. Obviously, Mr. Ellard all by himself with great foot speed gets to the outside. Lack of coverage by the Buffalo Bills and a saving tackle by Rob Riddick. Great field position for the Los Angeles Rams first snap.
A look at the skill positions, as they refer to them, with all due respect to the offensive lineman. Dickerson, 1,406 yards. Gooman is the so-called up back. What a surprise. Dickerson on first down gets 5. He's averaging exactly that, 5 yards per carry. He's had 9 100-yard games. Buffalo defensively, Jim Haslett has been reactivated, so his first action of the year a week ago, but not yet in the starting lineup. Clark and Romes are the corners. Mike Kennedy, the strong safety. Steve Freeman, the free safety. Buffalo has been racked by injuries all season long, offensively and defensively. They've lost 10 different starters to injury this year. Not much for Dickerson, if anything at all, and it was Kennedy who shot in, number 21, to make the tackle.
Bob, on that play, 7 guys at the line of scrimmage by the Buffalo Bills, and most of them to the offensive right of the Los Angeles Rams. Now, they are predominantly a right-handed offensive team. Jackie Slater is an offensive tackle there facing Ben Williams, key matchup of the day.
Slater's had a chance to block for some great ones. Walter Payton in college at Jackson State, and now Dickerson here, and Slater has been quoted as saying he thinks Dickerson might rewrite some NFL records.
Same defensive set.
Third down, we'll call it 6. Denard in motion. See how much zip Ferragamo can get on it. Well, he just lobs this one out. There's some contact Dickerson was complaining he was interfered with, but gets no satisfaction. And the Rams will have to kick. Lucius Sanford collided with him on the coverage.
That's one thing that you'll see the Los Angeles Rams do a great deal of. Watch 57 white, Lucius Sanford. When Dickerson comes out of the backfield, he comes out late. There he is. Sanford and Dickerson's legs tangle. No flag. There you see him on the ground. It's up a 4th down situation.
John Misko to punt, averaging 39.6. Rob Riddick is the deep man, standing at the Buffalo 15. Low kick.
Should bounce well, though.
You're right. They're going to down it in the vicinity of the 17-yard line. The Buffalo offense, the kick was good for 38 yards with no return. Booker Moore joins Joe Cribbs in the backfield. Julius Dawkins and Frank Lewis, nursing a shoulder injury, are the wide receivers, and Tony Hunter, the rookie from Notre Dame, is the tight end. And now let's make a correction. Lewis was slated to start. The shoulder is bothering him. There's Kay Stevenson, youngest head coach in the NFL at 38. And so Lewis is out, and Byron Franklin, second-year man from Auburn, wearing number 85, starts at wide receiver. Cribbs shifts into a wing. And the pass comes to Julius Dawkins, the rookie from Pittsburgh, for short yardage. A gain of about 3 to the 20-yard line with Leroy Irvin on the coverage.
Interesting that the Buffalo Bills under Kay Stevenson now, last year under Chuck Knox, leading rushing team in the NFL, this year making the transition to a primarily passing team. As a matter of fact, having a great deal of difficulty running the ball. It's one of the concerns that Kay Stevenson has for his Bills.
They scored only 3 touchdowns on the ground all year. Cribbs has all 3. 2nd and 7. Completion to Moore out of the backfield, and that's 1st down yardage. Out to about the 28-yard line with Jim Collins and Carl Eckern, the 2 inside linebackers, combining on the stop. A turnaround under Johnny Robinson this year for the Rams. 7-5, and very much in the battle, at least for a wild card and possibly for the title in the NFC West. Owens, Collins, Eckern, and Andrews, the linebackers, and there's the secondary. The first time they've had their entire secondary healthy in more than a month.
I made the comment that the Bills are making a transition from a running team to a passing team. The Rams the opposite, from a passing team to a running team under John Robinson.
When you've got Eric Dickerson, I guess that strategy pretty much is obvious. 1st down from the 28. Good zip on that ball, and the completion to Tony Hunter. And the rookie tight end has his 32nd reception of the season and another 1st down, or at least very close to it. Let's see where they'll spot it. Close enough to measure.
Mel Owens on the tackle. The Rams primarily a zone team. They don't get to the quarterback very much. And Bills have not run the ball yet. Hunter out of Notre Dame, 1st round pick. And with Mark Brammer hurt out with a pulled calf muscle, he now starts. Excellent, big target, knows how to catch the ball. Just short of the 1st down, and that's something that I think Tony Hunter will learn. With his size, he's got to take on some hitters instead of run around them, run through them.
2nd down and about a foot for the 1st down. Ferguson has completed all 3 passes he's thrown.
2nd down, ball on the 47. Here's the final.
11 minutes and 40 seconds to play in the 1st quarter. The Rams couldn't get a 1st down in their first possession. This is Buffalo's first time with the ball. And the give is to Moore. Very short yardage, but enough for the 1st down before George Andrews, the 5th-year player from Nebraska, makes the tackle. The new kicker, Mike Lansford for the Rams, obviously barefoot style. They had a lot of problems with Chuck Nelson, who had made only 5 out of 11 field goals, had 5 blocked, and missed 4 extra points. So they haven't waived Nelson. He's still on the roster, but they have 2 kickers active, and Lansford will do their kicking today. Ferguson back to the air on 1st down from the 38, and again he's right on target. The catch is made by Byron Franklin.
front of Eric Harris. And what is strange, 13 yards on the catch. The Bills have not run the ball, and yet they're running play action. And it seems to be freezing the linebackers of the Los Angeles Rams ever so slightly. Watch Franklin. He's replacing Frank Lewis. Watch him come back for the football. And that ball is really drilled in there. Ferguson, one of the best things he has always been able to do as a quarterback is really fire the thing on the line. Very high percentage passer. And leads the NFL in touchdowns with 22.
Had 14 intercepted and completed 57% of his throws this year. The draw to Cribbs, who slips through the first wave of tacklers and turns it into a 2-yard gain to the Ram 48. Cribbs has averaged 4 yards each time he's carried. And as you can see, he's close to 800 yards. He's also scored 7 touchdowns on pass receptions, the most of any back in the league.
And those 3 touchdowns that he's scored by the run, the only 3 the Bills have scored this year.
And Justice Dickerson is tied with Mike Barber for the most receptions on the Ram squad with 44. Cribbs out of the backfield leads Buffalo in that regard with 46 receptions. Ferguson throws his first incompletion in the vicinity of Franklin.
That was catchable. It was high, and the sun is very bright here in Anaheim Stadium, but that ball was catchable. And now it appears they take out Booker Moore and Tony Hunter and go with 3 wide receivers. 3rd down and about 8. Last week, Buffalo had a great deal of difficulty converting 3rd downs to 1st downs. One of their poorest performances of the year.
They were successful only 1 time in 9 3rd down tries. They need 8 here. And it's off the fingertips of Van Williams, who had come in as an extra back, making his first appearance of the game from scrimmage, a first-year player from Carson Newman. And they'll have to kick.
One of the things that I don't like about the shotgun, Bob, is that when the quarterback goes back there, the defensive backs and the linebackers generally know that it's going to be a pass. It's very difficult to come up with any running play of any substance. And in that particular case, the defensive backs of the Los Angeles Rams were well aware that Ferguson was going to throw it. Easy coverage for them.
Greg Cater's average is 39.3. Johnny Johnson and Henry Eller to the deep end. Johnson only to the 22-yard line. Van Williams makes the tackle on the play, a kick of 36 for Cater, and a return of 8 for Johnson. The clock stops with 9 minutes and 8 seconds to play in the first quarter. No score and Ram ball when we return to Anaheim. Well, the Rams can't complain about the help they've gotten elsewhere the past couple of weeks. Atlanta beating San Francisco a week ago on the Billy White Shoes Johnson miracle pass. And today in Chicago, the 49ers lose again, 13-3.
Ooh, this is for first place in the NFC West.
A Rams victory would give them undisputed possession of the top spot. Dickerson carries and turns what looked like very little daylight into about a 6-yard gain.
Now, one of the things about Eric Dickerson in this offensive line, watch the heads of the defensive linemen in front of the offensive linemen. He'll make their heads go inside or outside, and then he'll go the opposite way that defensive head goes. Let's see if we can pick it up here now. You see Slater, the head goes outside, and Dickerson cuts back inside, right in front of the official. That's reading a block, which is what he does very, very well.
Dickerson, who had his poorest output of the season, 37 yards on 12 carries against Washington last week, has 10 yards on 3 carries so far today. With Ferragamo's pass incomplete, intended for George Farmer, number 84, with Mario Clark on the coverage.
Miscommunication somewhere. Farmer did not run the proper pattern, or Ferragamo just forgot where Farmer was going, but they'll come back and talk to each other, try to straighten that out.
Now let's take a look at the battle in the pits. Doug Smith has missed the past 3 games with a broken right hand. He has a large cast on it. He's back in starting at center. He will snap left-handed. And the matchup between Slater and Ben Williams is one we want to look at.
There's that cast on Doug Smith's hand. Generally a right-handed snapper. They're left-handed.
Well, he can load up with just about anything inside there. Piece of lead to clobber somebody with. Dickerson, hello. Irvin Parker came up to smack him. And so Dickerson has been held pretty well in check the first 2 series by the Buffalo defense.
And Bob, I'll tell you, in this season, that may be the hardest that Eric Dickerson has been hit. You can see the Buffalo Bills once again stacking their defense to the offensive right of the Los Angeles Rams. And the Rams continue to run over there. They got to come up with a play to the left-hand side to get away from Irvin Parker on that blitz.
Riddick is standing at the 35 now, awaiting Misko's kick. The Ram kicking game has not been the strongest part of their team this year. Fair catch at about the 34-yard line. That one carried 42 with no return, so Johnny Robinson can't complain about that. And once again, a timeout on the field with 7:39 remaining. With that San Francisco defeat today, their record goes to 7-6. A Ram win would make them 8-5. There was a time, Trump, when the Ram cheerleaders were known as the Embraceable U.
No.
E-W-E-S, right?
Don't tell me.
What do they call them now?
The Rams cheerleaders?
They call this offside against somebody. And
No, that's encroachment.
oh, I'm sorry. Ben Drive is the referee.
The officials today will have a little suntan oil on. This is a spectacular day in Southern California.
The offensive line of the Bills, the veteran Tom Lynch, is in for second-year man Justin Cross, who injured his knee last week.
Encroachment.
You're right, so it's 1st and 5 for Buffalo. 7:39 remaining in the first quarter and no score. Cribbs gets about 3. It's a good down to play with here, perhaps. 2nd down and 2.
Correct.
This is the starting defensive line in a 3-4 setup, but we'll also see a lot of Gary Jeter, number 77, and Charles Dujournay, number 70, who happens to be in there right now.
2nd down and 2. This is the quarterback's delight, the head coach's delight. Play action. Try to get the ball down the field, loosen up the defensive backs a little bit here.
Well, they go with Cribbs, and Cribbs busts it right up the middle of midfield. George Andrews makes the tackle, but not before a gain of 8.
Probably just as good a weapon. Cribbs in his career with the Buffalo Bills has always seemed to respond. And I heard Dick and Merlin talking on Thanksgiving Day about the possibility of Billy Sims going to the United States Football League. This young man is as gifted a running back as you can find for all-purpose yards, and the Bills can ill afford to lose him to the United States Football League, and there's a chance, a very real chance, that they will.
As the replay showed, Cribbs can thank center Will Grant for a good block on that play. Carry again. And this time they're waiting for him. A loss of at least 1. Carl Eckern smacked him. He's the leading tackler with 88 stops for the Rams.
It's one good thing about the Los Angeles Rams defense. They allowed just 3.8 yards per rush. Cleveland over Baltimore, 41-23.
Ritigliano's boys are hot. Look at the Jets. No one can figure them out, but now they've won 2 in a row after the thrilling comeback Monday at New Orleans. Speaking of which, the Saints recover and beat Minnesota, and the Vikings really have hit on hard times. Chicago helps the Rams with a 13-3 victory over the 49ers. We'll continue to check the scoreboard for you as the day progresses. 2nd down, 12. Cribbs in a whole lot of trouble. And back to the original line of scrimmage. Again, Eckern on the stop. So it'll be 3rd and 10.
Good defensive back support there by the Los Angeles Rams. They've got, there's, watch, Tony Hunter, 87, the tight end. Andrews on him. It's a power sweep. They double down the tackle and the tight end on the defensive end. And as you can see, a lot of Rams roaming around there free to make the tackle.
Cribbs has 14 yards on 5 carries. That's already better than he did a week ago against the Raiders. They really bottled him up. He carried 10 times. They held him to 9 yards. Ferguson gets it to Cribbs just as he's hit, but Cribbs is wrestled down shy of the 1st down. Vince Newsom, who came in as the nickelback, a rookie from Washington, their 4th-round draft choice this year, made the stop.
That situation, the Bills go to the shotgun. The Rams go to a 4-man front with an automatic blitz, it seems. David Lewis in there. Dickerson is a gutty guy. He stood in there and took another lick like he has his entire career and still got it off.
Well, Cater has a chance now to pin the Rams back deep in their own territory with a good kick. Well, it'll be spotted at about the 16-yard line. Not bad, but it could have been better. Again, the clock stopped. 4 minutes and 9 seconds to play in the first quarter. We've got no score at Anaheim. We'll see who's wearing a smile between those two fellas at game's end. With Bob Trumpy at Anaheim. And our view from the booth is just about as high as the camera angle you saw a moment ago. This is nosebleed territory. Hold everything. No one's going to touch Dickerson on this play. Jackie Slater arguing his case with Ben Drive.
It's going to be the offense, though. Illegal procedure. You'll notice that Eric Dickerson is the sole setback for the Los Angeles Rams. In a conversation I had with John Robinson yesterday, I said, why? And he said, it's very simple.
Offense, number 78.
That's why he was protesting Jackie Slater. I said, why the single back? And he said, when we started training camp with Eric Dickerson, the fullback kept getting in his way. So he said, forget it. Put the guy on the line of scrimmage. And he's back there by himself.
It's quite an honor, isn't it? When they assign the other guy, depending upon whether or not he gets in your way.
Yep.
Dickerson. Some Buffalo people in his way, and did they ever smack him at the 15-yard line? He gets 3 and pays for it. Steve Freeman led the charge from his free safety spot, and Lucius Sanford was also there.
You also saw Eugene Marv miss a tackle here. You'll watch. 62, no, excuse me, that's Parker. He misses the tackle. That's one thing that they say about Eric Dickerson. He makes people, good tacklers, miss. The thing I'm wondering about is why is Los Angeles continually running only to the right?
Perhaps Mr. Robinson will provide an answer, diversifying things as the game moves along.
Green.
But juggled and dropped by Dickerson.
Now, one of the things that Eric Dickerson will do to a defense is put a split second of indecision in the linebacker's mind. Watch the linebackers. Are they going back? Are they going up? It looks like pass. There's 62 Parker. Oh, he reads screen. Now he's got to get back up there to try to make the tackle, but it's an incomplete pass. And it's a real pressure point for defenses playing Eric Dickerson. The Rams with an outstanding running game and also the ability to get the ball down the field. The linebackers are caught between going back and staying at the line of scrimmage.
Ferragamo's 0 for 3 thus far. He needs 12 on 3rd down. He was in big trouble. Escapes it. Has the completion, but well short of the first down. Preston Denard broke his pattern and came back to the ball to make the catch. They'll have to kick from close to their own goal line.
Clark on defense.
Well, so far, it appears they're negotiating out there and not playing. Very little has happened in this first quarter.
4th and 11.
Good job by Ferragamo to get away from this pass rush. This is the best thing it could possibly do.
Well, in increments, the Bills are getting better and better field position.
A yard at a time.
With each exchange of punts, Riddick moves up about 10 yards. Now he's standing close to midfield to receive this one from Misko. Low snap, but he feels it. And under very little pressure, gets away his best boot thus far. This one was really creamed. Riddick gets back to about the 36-yard line. A 54-yard kick and a 6-yard return. Robert Alexander made the stop for the Rams. So it's been a game of cat and mouse thus far. Misko really helped the Rams cause with this booming kick. It'll be Buffalo ball with 2:58 to play in the first. Most of the banners here in Anaheim appear to have been put up by the few Bills fans who are in attendance.
We survived the blizzard of 77.
No blizzard here, just a gorgeous day. Temperature in the low 70s, not a cloud in the sky. In motion is Byron Franklin, who's starting in place of the veteran Frank Lewis. And it's Franklin who takes the pass, gets a block, but then is slammed down by Eckert at the 39-yard line. Second down and 7 coming up. Each of these teams is 7-5. Each has lost 3 of their last 5. No matter what happens now, as we look at Kay Stevenson, who once was an assistant here under Chuck Knox for one season, 1977, and succeeded Knox in Buffalo when Knox moved on to Seattle this year. No matter what happens the remainder of the season to San Francisco, if the Rams can sweep their last 4 games, they're the champions in the NFC West. Intended for Dawkins and covered by Urban.
Rams on that particular play had a game up front. Linebackers outside, defensive tackles inside. And once again, we're right in the face of Joe Ferguson. This is a decent effort by Dawkins. Good jumping ability, good athletic ability, but 3rd and 8.
33-year-old Joe Ferguson, in his 11th season out of Arkansas, came in today needing 83 passing yards to become the 20th player in NFL history to pass 25,000 for his career.
Blitz, Los Angeles, uncovered.
Reads it and finds Moore. Booker Moore has plenty of room to run. He's into Ram territory and down at the 40. Ivory Sully stopped him, but not before a gain of 21.
Bob, there was no one covering Booker Moore in the flat. You see the linebackers on the inside blitz there. Andrews, Games up front. Someone blew an assignment. Look, there is no one in the picture. John Robinson could have tackled Booker Moore. He was the closest Los Angeles Ram. Here's Joe Cribbs in the slot back set, and he is also a pass protector on a blitz. Reads the blitz and then puts his hands up. But good pickup by the Buffalo Bills.
A minute 20 to play in a thus far scoreless first quarter. This is Buffalo's deepest penetration. Ferguson, a first down pass, and he finds Moore again. And Moore ducks in at the 35 for a gain of 5. Nolan Cromwell on the tackle.
This game has started very slowly, Robert. Not much action, but this is a good drive now sustained by the Buffalo Bills with high percentage passes by Joe Ferguson.
Booker Moore has been on the receiving end of 3 of those Ferguson aerials for a total of 34 yards. 2nd and 5. Again, he avoids the rush, but the throw is incomplete, intended for Tony Hunter, the tight end.
Ferguson pass intended for Hunter, covered by Noah Cromwell, incomplete.
3rd and 5 upcoming. Has Ferguson ever been durable through the years? He has really taken his shots and seldom has missed much time as a result. He's been a guy who's bounced back quickly.
You remember a lot of games in Joe Ferguson's career where he's played severely injured. I remember a playoff game with a badly sprained ankle, and he basically had a cast on that ankle and still played every single offensive down.
Out of the shotgun on 3rd down. Incomplete in the vicinity of Van Williams. That's the 2nd time in this first quarter on a 3rd down play needing 5 or 6 yards that they've gone to Williams on that pattern. Each time it hasn't worked.
Well, Bob, what they're running is crossing patterns through a man-to-man defense run by the Los Angeles Rams defensive backs. Rams once again coming with a 4-man front. Look at them lined up across there. Urban at the bottom. I take it back. That's a zone coverage, double rotation. Corners up, safeties out. And the linebacker coverage on the running backs is what the Bills are trying to take advantage of. Double rotation zone, even with the blitz, rather unusual.
Joe Danello, the former Giant, will try now from 53. He's 0 for 3 beyond 50 yards. 8 of 14 overall.
Short.
You're right. And a little bit wide to the right, even if it had the distance. So the Bills pose a mild threat, but come up empty. And with 22 seconds to play in the first quarter, it's still a scoreless ball game. Stevenson conferring with Ferguson. Considering all the injuries which have beset this Buffalo club. Stevenson has done a remarkable job.
I agree.
His team begins the day a game back of Miami in the AFC East, and even if they don't catch the Dolphins, very much alive in the AFC wildcard picture.
They've got 10 players who have started at some time in this season for the Buffalo Bills on the IR.
Injured reserve list. Ferragamo completes his pass to Barber, the veteran tight end, who slips a tackle and then is out of bounds near the 45-yard line with 15 seconds to play in the quarter.
Mario Clark missed on Mike Barber. He's the tight end in tandem with Hill. Ferragamo going to something else besides Eric Dickerson carrying the ball. Watch the missed tackle here by Clark. Barber, formerly with the Houston Oilers, and a big addition for this football team. An outstanding blocker. And he, along with Dickerson, are the two leading receivers coming into this ball game for the Rams.
They spotted at the 44 where it's 2nd down and 1. Dickerson breaks back to the right side and gets to the 45-yard line of Buffalo for a gain of 11.
There is no substitute in the NFL for speed. Dickerson to the left, and then with that great acceleration, 2 strides, and he's outside. Watch this stiff arm. When he was at SMU, he was no pony. He was a Clydesdale. Bench presses over 400 pounds.
Scored 48 touchdowns with the Mustangs, equaling the legendary Dope Walker's points scored record with 288. All of Dickerson's came on touchdowns. The Joker, of course, was a place kicker, as well as an all-purpose threat, running, passing, receiving. The catch is made by David Hill, and on the last play of the first quarter, Hill is inside the 40-yard line of Buffalo. Lucius Sanford made the tackle.
Looked like at the end of that play that there was a hand on the face mask. Let's look again. Lucius Sanford, 57 white, has got the shoulder pad, not the face mask. And Hill with a good pickup.
So when the second quarter begins, the Rams will be on the move at the 38-yard line of Buffalo, facing 2nd and 4. First quarter, Buffalo had the ball 10 minutes and 45 seconds. The Rams just 4:15, but the first quarter ends with the Rams mounting their first real drive. And 2nd and 4 now from the 38-yard line of Buffalo. Dickerson smack into the middle of that Buffalo defense. It'll be 3rd and 2 coming up as we check with NFL 83 in New York.
Thank you, Bob Costas. What a difference a Dan Fouts makes. Back in the lineup for the Chargers. He beats Steve Wilson, gets it to Kellen Winslow for the 2nd time. It's now 14-7 San Diego, first quarter. Back to you, Bob.
Well, we saw Ed Luther have his troubles various times. As Fouts' replacement, Don Coryell has to be happy that his main man is back. Luther had a couple of good games. The 4th quarter against Washington on a Monday night. Big game and a win over Dallas. They need 2 and they'll throw for it. Ferragamo might have had that deflected at the line of scrimmage.
I think it was 77, Ben Williams, who got inside Jackie Slater and got his hands up. Watch 77 on the inside. Looks like he's got good pressure up front. Working on Dennis Hara. No, it's Fred Smerlas, 76, the nose tackle. Managed to get his arms up. If you can't make penetration to sack the quarterback, watch 76. Working on the center Smith. Can't make the penetration. Get your hands up in the air, and he just manages to tip it. You can see Smerlas working to the side of Dennis Smith with a cast on his hand. Oh, 4th down and 1. They're going to go for it.
Actually, they need a bit closer to 2 yards. They asked Dickerson to get it, trying to get outside, and he kept his footing and lunged close. It all depends on the spot. I think they're going to be short.
Steve Freeman, number 22 of the Buffalo Bills, able to get across the line of scrimmage and just trip up Eric Dickerson. And it goes to Buffalo. Big play by the Buffalo defense. That's the guys they have out in front of Dickerson here. Gooman, Mike Barber, but watch Freeman. Good tackler, but all he's able to do is just kind of knock Dickerson off his feet.
Trump Eric Dickerson, who is averaging well over 100 yards a game and had a high of 199 against Detroit and a 192-yard game against the Jets earlier this year, has been held at 24 yards on his first 8 carries by the Buffalo defense.
Got to keep giving it to him, though.
Ferguson, another first down pass, nearly intercepted. Eric Harris would have had some daylight had he been able to latch onto it.
Some daylight. He was in the end zone. I think he's so surprised. Franklin trying to drive him off, but you see Harris catching at about 12 yards deep. Look at that. Oh, what a mistake. I mean, that's 6 points written all over it. All he had to do was catch it.
Sometimes you begin to eye that hater.
Yes.
Nobody between you and the goal line. You forget about the primary purpose, catching the ball.
Say to yourself, I can't believe I'm this open.
He'll believe it and regret it when he sees the film. 2nd and 10, and the pitch is to Cribbs. And Cribbs shakes one tackler and is driven out of bounds by a couple more, led by Johnny Johnson, number 20. George Andrews from his right outside linebacker spot also helped.
The young man's got great speed. And you also saw at the end of that play another characteristic of Joe Cribbs. He will deliver a blow when he has to. Stays healthy. All right. He's a guy that franchises look for years. Buffalo's got him and may lose him. I don't want to dwell on the point, but it's a big fact in Buffalo. Joe Cribbs and Joe Ferguson are their offense.
3rd down, 7. 13:53 to play until halftime. No score thus far. Ferguson caught from behind. And it was Johnson who ran him down. The 4th-year man from Texas, their number 1 draft choice in 1980.
And Bob, that is a foot race that Joe Ferguson is going to lose every time with Johnny Johnson. Johnson's got world-class sprinter speed. And you see the safety blitz. That's what Los Angeles is going to. And Johnson easily catches up to him. 4th down, and they must punt.
That was not your classic sack, but officially it is one. The 25th of the season for Los Angeles, one of the lowest totals in the league. They have not had the consistent pressure on enemy quarterbacks that Coach Robinson would like. Cater's kick results in a fair catch at the 27-yard line by Henry Ellard. Ellard returned the opening kickoff 40 yards, and he had a 41-yard punt return a week ago against Washington. This time a fair catch after a 36-yard kick by Cater. 13 minutes, 4 seconds to play until halftime, and neither team has been inside the other's 30-yard line. Each has posed a mild threat or two, but nobody has grabbed a clear-cut advantage, that's for sure. That's Gooman in motion. And the pitch is to Dickerson. And Dickerson gets 2, maybe 3. We'll be back with the Rams' 2nd down play right after we check once more with NFL 83.
All right, Bob, while you watch Eric Dickerson, we'll track Kurt Warner for you, the other fine rookie rusher who leads his conference. There goes Kurt Warner. 28 yards for the touchdown. It's now 7-7. Seattle and Kansas City's 2nd quarter. Back to Anaheim now.
All right, thanks, Len. Kurt Warner, of course, one of a handful of NFL backs who have already passed the 1,000-yard mark. Dayton of Chicago, William Andrews of Atlanta, or others. But Dickerson far and away was the leader with 14:06 coming in today. Hasn't been able to add all that much to it against this tough Buffalo defense in the first half. Eugene Marv, who is their leading tackler, with better than 150 stops for the season now, is in on this play.
Excellent tackler from the inside, and you'll watch Dickerson come back to the inside right to Marv to make the tackle. Dickerson averages carrying the ball 23 times a ball game for the Los Angeles Rams, and Robinson has great confidence in his ability. He also mentioned to me that Dickerson will wear every pad invented. He wears a flak jacket. He's got elbow pads. He's got a neck collar. He's got hand pads. He's got double big thigh pads on his pants. He wants to be protected.
Which is only smart. 3rd and 5. Batted up in the air and then caught on the deflection by Preston Denard. And Denard has a first down at the 44-yard line. They get 13 gift yards on the play.
That ball was tapped in the air by Michael Kennedy from behind the offense. About 7 years ago, this would have been an incompletion. There's Kennedy, ball up in the air. Denard, right place at the right time. That's not the way they draw him up on the chalkboard, but Robinson will certainly take it. First down.
That one, Trump, would always have been good. What they outlawed was the deflection between two offensive players. They made that legal. That used to be illegal.
Thank you.
The catch is made on the bullet out to the right side to George Farmer for short yardage, 4, maybe 5. It used to be that if one offensive player hit the ball, then a defensive player would have to touch it before another member of the offensive team could make a legal catch. Now anybody can catch it on any kind of carom, no matter who touched it.
Thanks for straightening me out.
Anytime.
I appreciate it. One thing you must give Buffalo credit for right now is that they have taken Los Angeles basically out of their offensive game, and that is constantly giving the ball to Eric Dickerson, who stands at about 6.5 yards deep from the line of scrimmage.
2nd and 6. Here's Dickerson. Breaks a tackle. Lowers his head and drags people to the 45-yard line of Buffalo for a first down.
One of the things about Dickerson is that he'll pretty much freelance back there. He's now got 11 carries for 37 yards, and Robinson, realizing the athletic skills of Eric Dickerson, lets him do what he wants. He's got the speed to get outside with great acceleration, and he's also got the strength and the power to break some good tackles.
Dickerson accounts for roughly 78% of the Rams' rushing offense. No back in the entire league for any team has such a big chunk of his team's yardage. Ferragamo wants it all with the deep throw and a touchdown. The catch is made by George Farmer, the second-year man from Southern. It covers 45 yards, and the Rams are on the board. Situation with Mario Clark, simply outran it, and Ferragamo's throw was right on the money. For Farmer, his 4th touchdown reception of the season, and for Ferragamo, his 19th touchdown pass. Lansford, who place kicks barefoot and kicks off with a shoe, to try and make it 7-0 out of the hold of Nolan Cromwell.
Dickerson had just gone out of the ball game. That's Barry Red, number 30. Kind of a little play-action fake. It did appear that Clark got turned around, and Farmer, with great speed, just waits on the ball. Ferragamo, we said at the top of the show, with the stitches in his throwing hand, showed no evidence of any problems whatsoever there. Excellent throw, great catch, and the Rams are on the board.
7-0 LA with 9:19 play until halftime. Mike Lansford has donned the shoe. He gets set to kick off. And it'll be Rob Riddick at about the 8. Back to the left and held low at the 10-yard line. Eric Williams, a reserve linebacker. There he is, number 66. Got down there in a hurry and just smattered Riddick at the 10-yard line.
Smattered, you say?
I don't even know if that's a word, is it?
How about battered?
Or splattered.
There
or
you
smacked.
go. Well, what they got Riddick to do...
combination of all those things.
What they got Riddick to do is run sideways. And, of course, that's a special teams player's dream. Catch one of those guys going sideways.
There's such a word as smattered. You could have something smattered all over the floor.
Or just a smattering of paint is a little bit of paint, but you can say what you want.
Drop the subject. 10-yard line. motion along the line, no flags. Now one goes down, and so does Booker Moore right about at the line of scrimmage.
I believe that will be on the defense. Nose man Greg Meissner seemed to anticipate the snap a little bit, but you never know in these situations. Center can squeeze the ball a little bit, draw somebody off. Buffalo thinks it's against the Rams. It's the first penalty of the ball game, isn't it?
Offside, number 69.
Third penalty of the ball game, all on the Rams, which is significant because coming into this ball game, the Buffalo Bills led the NFL in number of penalties, 102. So far, they played a quarter and a half without a penalty.
Greg Meissner, the nose tackle, was offside, so it brings up 1st and 5 from the 15. 9:02 to play in the first half. 7-0 Rams. Moore, well, he pops right through there. And Booker Moore has a first down at the 28-yard line, a gain of 13. Nolan Cromwell makes the tackle. Again, Cleveland over Baltimore, as we mentioned earlier. And the Browns very much alive, at least for a wild card. The Jets keep their slim hopes alive. And New Orleans recovers from their heartbreaker Monday night to bounce back and beat Minnesota. Chicago's win over San Francisco is a godsend for the Rams. And Washington had more trouble than you might have thought with Philadelphia, 28-24. Behind Moore and incomplete. Ferguson knows it's his fault. Well, Tampa Bay gets their second win. They beat Houston. Battle of teams that came in with records of what, 1-11? San Diego leading Denver in the second quarter with Dan Fouts back at quarterback. KC and Seattle tied at 7. The Giants leading 2-0 and looking to go to their bullpen, I guess.
Who's pitching?
Green Bay jumps on Atlanta 21-0. Ferguson has completed 7 of 14 for 67 yards. And this one is dropped. It was thrown well. There's a flag down. Hunter couldn't hold it. He was trying to turn upfield as he made the grab, and he could have run for a bit more yardage.
That's going to be a penalty against Mel Owens. Pass interference, holding on the defense on Joe Cribbs. Cribbs was coming out in the flat. I will make this comment to this point in this football game. Buffalo is just not yet in sync.
Holding defense, number 58. That's a first down.
That's Mel Owens. Joe Cribbs was the guy running the pattern, and he got by Mel Owens and he just grabbed Joe Cribbs. But Buffalo still hasn't established anything good today. They're still searching for what they can do on a consistent basis. Their best play so far has been the Booker Moore run right up through the gut of the Los Angeles defense.
So again from the 32-yard line. It's Moore. And right up the middle he goes once more, close to a first down. And it's Mel Owens who's in on the tackle. Another update as we return to New York.
Thank you, Bob Costas. Look at this shotgun play. Bill Kenny for Kansas City fires it over the middle to the rookie Stephon Page from Fresno State. Kansas City now on top in Seattle, 14-7. Now let's go back to Bob Costas and Bob Trumpy.
Okay, thank you, Lenny. Steve Fuller, the man who Bill Kenny eventually beat out of a job in Kansas City, is here with the Rams as their third-string quarterback. Here is Cribbs. That's close, so he goes back the other way. And when all is said and done, he's got the first down at the 45.
One thing that is consistent about great running backs in the NFL, watch the ability of Cribbs to realize there's no room there and then have the speed to make a gainer out of a loser. Gets by Jack Youngblood. He only picks up maybe 4 inches, but he would have lost about 5 yards had he stayed over on the left-hand side of the offense. He
move inside, 7 minutes to play in the first half. 7-0 Rams on the 45-yard pass from Ferragamo to Farmer. Ferguson into a crowd, has his completion at midfield. Buster Barnett, who is now their second-string tight end with Brammer Hurd and Hunter as the starter, makes the catch, and they'll mark his progress at the 50. So it'll be 2nd down and 5.
Gain of 5, 2nd down, 5 yards to go.
It is a bright sunshine today. It's always trouble for a team in the East to come out here to the Los Angeles area late in the season. You really get lethargic. You enjoy all the palm trees and the lack of humidity and cold weather. Kind of sit back and get a tan. Enjoy the surroundings. Tough to get a team up for a game out here on the West Coast.
Of course, a look at the standings ought to be enough for both these teams to provide motivation. Nice catch by Cribbs on the throw from Ferguson. It looks like he's got a first down. They'll spot it at the 44, and it is a first down for Buffalo. Johnny Johnson on the coverage.
The Rams continue to blitz, trying to keep pressure in the face of Joe Ferguson.
We must pause briefly here for station identification. First, we'll let you take another look. One number 20 tackles the other, and this is the NBC television network.
This is WGRZ TV2 Buffalo.
Bob Costas and Bob Trumpy in Anaheim. After a scoreless first quarter, the Rams pushed across the game's first touchdown on their last possession. Now with 5:14 to play second quarter, Buffalo driving for the tie, and this one incomplete, intended for Hunter. A flag goes down belatedly.
This is a tough call for the official. And we'll watch Hunter all the way. All he's going to try to do is go down and get between the linebackers, stop, be a target.
Pass interference, number 50. That's a first down.
Jim Collins got there a split second before the ball did. Third-year man from Syracuse.
That's a good call by the officials, and that is the side judge that made the call, and he's about 30 yards deep from the football.
The Rams have been penalized 5 times now. Buffalo hasn't had a flag thrown against them yet.
Whoa!
Nice timing pattern to Dawkins. The throw was right there. Irvin tosses him out of bounds at the 31.
Bills were taking a chance there, though, throwing it right into the teeth of the coverage. You saw 52 George Andrews underneath the coverage. And that was very, very close to being picked off. That had to be a perfect throw by Joe Ferguson, and it was.
And our congratulations to him as he becomes the 20th man to pass 25,000 yards. But just to put it in perspective, the record belongs to Franz Harkington, 47,003. And Johnny Unitas also topped 40,000 for his career, so there's a ways to go. They fake the reverse, and Cribbs keeps it, does a little dance, and is inside the 20-yard line to the 15.
No flag, 16 yards on the carry. Always amazed me how that little influence of a reverse will change the linebackers. Watch him hesitate just for a second. You see there? That takes one linebacker, Jim Collins, out of the pursuit. A missed tackle by Eric Harris. Cribbs is a tough kid, too. Good call. Good call by the Buffalo Bills. Been a very, very persistent drive. Started at their own 10-yard line.
Play-action fake. Ferguson throws on the run into the end zone for the touchdown to Tony Hunter. The 3rd touchdown of the year for Hunter, and for Ferguson, who leads the AFC in this category, the 23rd touchdown pass.
One of the problems that a defense has when the quarterback scrambles, of course, they're not really looking at the receivers. They're only watching the quarterback. They're trying to read his eyes, and good experienced quarterback like Joe Ferguson looks off Johnny Johnson, number 20, bam, then goes to the outside to Tony Hunter, and all he's got to do is catch it, which he does.
Now Matt Koechler who was a hero in the fourth quarter, replacing the injured Ferguson and almost pulling off the come-from-behind victory against the Raiders, is the holder for Dinello, who hammers it through to tie the game at 7. 4 minutes and 2 seconds to play in the first half in Anaheim. And Buffalo comes right back to tie it up. So no sooner do the Rams take the lead on the long pass from Ferragamo to Farmer, and Buffalo drives 90 yards in just over 5 minutes, capped by the 15-yard pass from Ferguson to Hunter. Now it's Ellard fielding Dinello's kick and getting to about the 25-yard line before being slammed down. Mark Merrill made the tackle on the play. So Ferragamo and company will go back to work. But first, we'll take this break. 3 minutes and 53 seconds remaining in the first half. Even up at 7. And a bit of arithmetic for you here. The figures we mentioned a moment ago on that very impressive Buffalo drive for the tying score. Dickerson is the sole setback. He's got the ball. And he's got him first up the middle for about 9.
Bob, you notice even though the Buffalo Bills play a 34 defense, they've only got one linebacker behind the line of scrimmage. They got another linebacker at the line of scrimmage, and there's 62. Irvin Parker initially makes the hit, and you see Dickerson run right through his arms for close to a 10-yard gain.
Close enough to measure. You know, Jimmy Brown, who has been rather vocal of late on a variety of subjects, says he thinks Dickerson is a better back, just short, than Herschel Walker. Says Herschel is strong and fast, but Dickerson has better football instinct.
Yes, and it appears to me that Dickerson has great field of vision where he can let his body go limp and allow a tackler to miss. As you look at the top 6 rushers and average yards per game.
That's actually not the top 6 all time. It's a selected list, but we want to come back to that subject later on in the ball game. Dickerson has to struggle to the 35, but that's enough for a first down. Just to put it in perspective, there's been a lot of talk about Franco Harris possibly overtaking Jim Brown's all-time rushing total. But when you consider what Jim Brown did in 9 seasons, better than 12,000 yards, when you look at his average yards per carry compared to some of these other all-time greats. Now, this is not a comprehensive list. It's a selected list, but it gives you an idea. And then when you compare Brown's yards per game, he averaged 104 yards per game throughout his entire career. The fake and Ferragamo with a world of time and a receiver, but he threw it over Farmer's head.
Waited too long to throw it. Farmer was open coming all the way across the field, but Vinny didn't see him. And I think he knows it, too.
To complete the thought on Jim Brown, he's made some noise about coming back. I think a bit of it is tongue-in-cheek. I don't think he has any intention. He'd be 48 years old next year. But let's assume, for the sake of argument, that he was really considering it. The main point about Jim Brown is the average yards per game, the average yards per carry, rather than the total yards. Several players may overtake him, Peyton as well as Harris, in total yardage. But when you look at the statistics and really analyze them, nobody can challenge Brown's great record as an NFL running back, and he doesn't have anything left to prove. This is right on the money to Barber. Barber, the tight end, is shoved out of bounds at the 30-yard line of Buffalo after a gain of 35.
Crossing pattern by Barber. Once again, the threat of Eric Dickerson. Keeps the linebackers at the line of scrimmage. There you see Barber, 86, and it looks like Freeman, 22. No, that's 21, the defensive back for the Michael Kennedy following Mike Barber, but with great size and also good speed, well thrown by Vince Ferragamo there. Big play by the Los Angeles Rams.
2:26 to play until halftime. Each offense sputtered through the first quarter plus, but now they're clicking.
Look at that defense. Only one linebacker behind the line of scrimmage.
Ferragamo with another near completion. It was Farmer. The pass was there. He had to go up for it a little bit. Couldn't hold it.
He also jumped too early. Watch as you see this ball come. He's going down. You see there? He just jumped too early. If he'd have waited just a little bit, he would have gotten it. Ferragamo now 7 of 14, 112 yards and 1 touchdown.
Ferragamo has been protected well in this first half, which is no surprise. The Ram offensive line has allowed their quarterback to be sacked just 17 times this year, lowest total in the NFL.
Look at that Buffalo defense. 2, 4, 6, 7 guys at the line of scrimmage.
Dickerson made the first guy miss, but there was a reception committee beyond that. And he spun down after a gain of a couple. Eugene Marv made first contact, so it'll be 3rd and 8. 2-minute warning will come before the next snap. And so we'll pause with the ball game tied at 7. But with the Rams moving at least into field goal range and possibly more than that. We'll find out when we come back right after these messages. And we would like you to join Len Berman and company a half hour before kickoff each football Sunday on NBC.
Buffalo with 4 changes now, expecting the pass from the Los Angeles Rams. 3rd, almost 9 yards. Crucial conversion here. The Rams only able to convert 1 third down into a first down in this first half.
It'll be their 6th opportunity on 3rd down. Ferragamo again with time. A flag goes down. Was Farmer interfered with by Clark? He might have been.
Got a Los Angeles Ram down to Bill Bain. In pain. You see Buffalo continuing with the blitz. And let's see if we can see contact between Mario Clark and George Farmer.
Timeout. Los Angeles. First timeout.
Well, that's very incidental contact, if in fact they do call a penalty. If I were Mario Clark, I'd be rather upset, but it does appear they're going to have a conversation.
The Rams have to use a timeout because in the last 2 minutes of a half or the game, the officials won't stop it for you because of an injury. The preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by Nolan Cromwell and the National Football League. While we were away for that commercial, they finally made the official announcement that there were offsetting penalties, both offensive and defensive pass interference, so the down is repeated, and it's 3rd and 7 again from the 28-yard line.
Interesting call.
Bill Bain, injured on the last play, goes out, and replacing him at left tackle for the Rams is Russ Bollinger, number 73.
Look at that defense. 2, 4, 5, 6, 8 guys right there in your picture.
Farmer, first down. They put Farmer in motion before the snap, and Clark followed him from the far side of the field to the near side, but I don't think he got there in time, and he was behind in his coverage from the snap.
Saw him break out. Of course, Clark is trying to keep track of him, and they don't want to give up a big play in this situation. Excellent call by the Los Angeles Rams. Good throw by Ferragamo, too.
There's Farmer, who latched onto the touchdown throw earlier in this quarter. 45-yarder from Ferragamo. A minute 51 to play until halftime. Dickerson makes 2 guys miss, gets outside, and dances to about the 10. They'll spot it at the 9-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal from there.
The first guy he made miss was Irvin Parker, and they're coming with that blitz on the outside, and that's the way they're trying to stop the Rams offense. Watch this stop. Now the next 2 steps. 1, 2, 3, and he's running full speed. Marv in pursuit. And you can't block Eric Dickerson and get him to the ground, as you saw 22 Steve Freeman attempt.
I was too generous with Dickerson. He got 9 rather than 10. So instead of 1st and goal, it's 2nd and 1. They've got to go to the 8 for the first down. Dickerson now has 60 yards on 15 carries. Into the end zone. And incomplete. Intended for Denard.
Pass from Ferragamo intended for Preston Denard. Incomplete.
1:40 to play second quarter.
We used to call this a fade pattern, and all the quarterback is trying to do is get it out there so the guy can run underneath it. But of course, it takes a great deal of timing and practice so that the ball is inbounds and in the receiver's hands. 3rd down and 1 now.
This is the 10th play of the present Ram drive.
The Bills expecting Dickerson to get the ball. Once again, they've got 9 guys at the line of scrimmage, and he does.
They expect it, but they can't stop it. That's a 1st down. Ben Williams makes the tackle, number 77.
Timeout.
The Rams ask for a timeout, which leaves them with 1, but they've got plenty of time to work with for this final set of downs. 1:33 remaining. I can tell you now that this telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, and it's intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the LA Rams and the NFL is prohibited. You know, a variety of things have brought Jim Brown's name back into the news the past couple of weeks. Franco Harris getting ever closer to Jim Brown's all-time rushing record, and the performance of a young player like Dickerson has also brought comparison to the great backs like O.J. Simpson and Jim Brown. And every time you go to the record book, as we saw earlier with some of the figures we put on the screen, you must be impressed, not just by Jim Brown's raw totals, which still stands, yardage-wise, as the best in league history, but in the short period of time in which he did it. Just 9 years, better than 100 yards a game, 5.2 yards per carry. So even if he was physically able to come back at 48, which is a giant if, hasn't played since 1965, his last year was 2 years before your first year.
No, my first year was
football.
Yeah, my first year was 68, but apparently the only guy unimpressed with Jim Brown's stats is Jim Brown. Everyone else is very impressed. He's the one that they got to convince.
No reason to add to it. Nothing left to prove, Jim. First and goal, and Ferragamo will be sacked for the first time.
Clock will stop.
Darryl Talley, a rookie from West Virginia, got there.
Sacked by Darryl Talley.
The Bills' defense had not recorded a sack in 3 of the last 4 games. That's their first today.
Well, the Rams can't miss this opportunity. You can see an all-out blitz by the Buffalo Bills, and from the outside, they finally get him down in the grasp of Darryl Talley. Good blitzer.
To the end zone where Denard is open, but he's out of bounds when he makes the catch.
Thank heaven for breaks in the concrete. He went right up the chute where the Rams dressing room is. This is an excellent catch, but watch him disappear from view here. He catches the ball clearly out of bounds.
And he was open.
Yeah, in other stadiums, that could have been disaster. How do you like a screen in this situation? Buffalo is blitzing a lot. I would expect they might do it again. We got a call here.
Illegal formation. Decline the penalty. It's 3rd down.
So it becomes 3rd and goal from just across the 12-yard line. Ferragamo has completed half of his 16 throws for 121 yards and a touchdown.
The Rams can't miss this opportunity. They've had a good drive, started at their own 24-yard line. 6 points here would be a great psychological lift for the Buffalo Bills.
He's open, and he's got it. Touchdown. Preston Denard, who seemed to be the target on every play once they got close in this drive, and finally they pull it off.
One of the things you'll find offensive teams do down inside the 15-yard line is run a lot of picks. And he came in motion inside, and his release off the line of scrimmage, Bob, was inside the tight end. And all he was trying to do is create confusion amongst the defensive backs. And Groves, who had the coverage, just simply got bumped off a little bit, and that's the 1 foot or the 1 stride that Denard needed to be open.
Lansford to try and make it 14-7. And he does.
Now watch watch once again where Denard releases upfield. See, all he's trying to do is create traffic there so that the defensive back can get bumped off. And it's just that one stride ahead of Charles Romes. Ferragamo with an outstanding throw. Watch the arch he puts in this ball to allow Denard to run under it. That's a fine throw and catch. Well-designed play. And cameraman pays the price. Hopefully he got a good picture. That would be saving grace.
Ferragamo has now thrown 20 touchdown passes this year, and 4 of them have gone to Denard. Now, Buffalo has 3 timeouts remaining and 59 seconds showing on the clock. So if they want to, they can try and put something together here.
It's Fred Smerlas that they're looking at. I hope he's all right. He's upset. One of the most intense players you'll find in the NFL. Fred Smerlas, nose man, number 76 of the Buffalo Bills.
What the Bills decide to do with this possession may depend upon what kind of a return they can get on Lansford's kick. Williams to the top of your screen. Riddick to the bottom. Riddick on the short kick. Takes it at the 15. And stumbles to the 29. So each team has scored in its last possession. As a matter of fact, the last 3 times a drive has begun, it's resulted in a score. The Rams first, then Buffalo to tie it, then the Rams right back. Booker Moore and Joe Cribbs lined up in the I. 55 seconds remaining. Ferguson's pass complete to Hunter. It's a first down at the 41. Clock running with 40 seconds remaining now.
Wow, that was a big screen. And Tony Hunter was a release man down the field, trying to draw linebackers out to the screen area. He was wide open.
They may get to the point where they don't have enough time to use all their timeouts. When you consider the amount of time that ran off the clock before this snap, they should have used one right then after that catch.
20 seconds it took them.
They may find themselves with timeouts to spare. Good throw, right on the money, and then jarred loose by the hit. And the ruling is incomplete. It was Byron Franklin who was the receiver. And you can't throw it much better than that, Joe.
And he throws it low and into the ground so it can't be intercepted. That's what you see veterans do. Watch how Franklin has to go down to get it, but a little hit by Eric Harris just spun him around, took his hands off the ball, and was free. 12 of 20 now, Ferguson, 111 yards.
There are 12 seconds to play, and I don't want to belabor the point, but how are you going to use 3 timeouts in 12 seconds?
We've got an illegal formation here. The inside receiver on this side is not an eligible receiver.
I don't see a flag. The completion is to Moore, and Moore drives down to the 45, and they stop the clock with, well, it's still running. Now they stop it. 1 second. A gain of 14. I tell you, if I was the clock operator, I wouldn't disobey, considering the tone of authority in Ben Dright's voice.
I don't believe that was a rhetorical put some time on that clock. I mean, he's got 65,000 people that he's trying to instruct there. Somebody is responsible. I like that. A take charge kind of official.
People on the stand were wondering whether it was their responsibility. Everybody jumped to try and put some time back on the clock when Dright spoke.
I reset mine.
We'll go to NFL 83 at halftime, of course. They're going to wind this down, I would guess, to 4 or 5 seconds. In any event, they'll just have time for one more play. And a reminder, next Sunday, join join Len Berman and company as NFL 83 kicks off week number 14 with feature reports and a preview of the day's games, followed by an NFL doubleheader beginning at 12:30 Eastern Time, featuring an AFC Central matchup between the Bengals and the Steelers, and other games include Miami at Houston and Buffalo at Kansas City. Then the late game beginning at 3:30 Eastern Time. Most of you will see Cleveland against Denver, or in some areas, the Jets and the Colts. That's next Sunday on NBC.
Well, if Billy White Shoes Johnson can catch one in the end zone and with just a few ticks on the clock left, I suppose there's hope for the Buffalo Bills in this situation. And on this play, you do throw it in the end zone. First half has been played without a turnover.
They lined Cribbs up as a wide receiver, so they got 3 guys out to the right and 1 to the left. Ferguson airs it out, and it's caught by Byron Franklin, and he's out of bounds at the 5.
You know, I tell you what, Nolan Cromwell did a very, very smart thing. He let him catch it. He didn't go up and try to make the interception because he knew all he had to do was let him catch it, get him out of bounds. It's the last play of the half. Cromwell, very, very smart.
Or, if he's guilty of pass interference, then the clock is going to...
They're going to get one more
They're
play.
going to get one more play.
Very
even though time would have expired.
Well, watch Cromwell. He is standing right in front of Byron Franklin, and Franklin turns around and stops, and he realizes that this is an inconsequential pass reception if he does make it, so he lets him make it, and then gets him out of bounds on the ground. Very smart by Nolan Cromwell.
Good for 41 yards, but it pads the stats, doesn't change the score.
Very close. Very close. 166 to 132. Neither team has had a turnover. 2 touchdowns by Ferragamo. That last one at the end of the half to Denard was an impressive play. Interesting that the only guy to carry the ball for the Los Angeles Rams today, Eric Dickerson, 16 carries, 62 yards. And the big point is his longest run from scrimmage so far, 12 yards. Time of possession, another big factor in the first 30 minutes. The Bills had it 18, and the Los Angeles Rams just 12.
Bob, does it strike you as strange in looking at Ferragamo's stats that he has thrown for such a high percentage this year, 61% coming into the game today, and yet he has also thrown a league-leading 21 interceptions? Those two figures don't seem to go together.
Gee, I never thought of it that way, but you're right. That normally a high percentage passer does not throw a lot of interceptions, but at the same time, in establishing Eric Dickerson, you're going to throw a lot of patterns underneath coverage. You're going to have a lot of linebackers at about the spot that you want to complete the pass because of Dickerson's ability to run. And because of that, if they bounce off the shoulder pad or something, there's someone there to catch it. And I'm not sure all those 22 interceptions that Ferragamo has thrown on the year can be accountable to Ferragamo. A lot of them do bounce off players and end up in your opponent's hands.
So we looked at Dickerson a moment ago. He has not scored a touchdown yet today, so his total remains at 19. As a matter of fact, he didn't get one last week against the Redskins, and that snapped a string of 10 consecutive games in which Eric Dickerson had scored at least 1 touchdown. Meanwhile, earlier today, John Riggins had 2 TDs for Washington in their surprisingly close 28-24 victory over Philadelphia. So Riggins now has 21 touchdowns for the year, and at the moment, Dickerson is holding at 19.
Bob, first half, I must compliment the Buffalo Bills defensive coaches. They have come up with a defense that has pretty much tied down Eric Dickerson, even though he has, as you said, 62 yards on 16 carries. They've come up with a unique defense, and only having 1 linebacker off the line of scrimmage and 9 guys on the line of scrimmage. It's done an exceptional job.
Lansford kicks off. Riddick fields it at the 14 for Buffalo. And down at the 30. One thing they have done with Dickerson is that he hasn't broken off a big gainer again.
Correct. 12 yards, his longest run from scrimmage in the first half.
So now Ferguson gets another crack at it with the Buffalo offense, trailing 14-7 as we start the third quarter. Each team 7-5, but the Rams in a better spot in their division, especially with San Francisco losing earlier today to Chicago, than Buffalo is in its division. They began the day a game back of Miami. The pitches to Cribbs. And Cribs gets 4 before being knocked out of bounds by Carl Eckern.
Oh, you see the way he sets up that blocker? Kind of hesitates behind his offensive blocker. Gives the feeling to the defensive man that he's cutting inside. Watch this. This is a gift. You don't coach this. That's Booker Moore locking on Nolan Cromwell. Cromwell thinks he's going inside, then he jumps outside and picks up only 4 yards. But boy, that's a gift. That is a gift that you just can't teach.
We saw Cribs earlier this year in a duel with another great back, outgain Earl Campbell of Houston. His best performance of the season, 166 yards in the win over the Oilers at Buffalo. Ferguson's throw is dropped by Hunter, but a flag goes down.
Nolan Cromwell in the coverage. Of course, this is his first year of playing strong safety for the Los Angeles Rams. And Hunter is very smart. A guy who is 6'5" and 230, when the ball is coming to him, if he can make himself as big as possible.
Defensive pass interference, number 21. That's a first down.
If the tight end can make himself as big as possible, and the only way that the defensive back can get his hand on the ball is to go through him as opposed to around him in significant stat. Good play by Tony Hunter. First down for the Bills, and came into this game, I repeat, with 102 penalties on the season so far.
The most in the entire league, but not a blemish on their record in that respect so far today. Ferguson firing long down the right sideline, and there's the interception. Eric Harris picks it off, and he's got some room to run. If he can get a block, he might go a long way. Down at the 34-yard line. Looked to me like the daylight was outside to the right, and he took it back to the middle of the field, but nonetheless, it's a 25-yard return, and more importantly, Ram ball at their 34.
Rookie mistake by Julius Dawkins. And Joe Ferguson, I'm sure, will have a couple of words with Mr. Dawkins. He stops in the middle of the pattern, thinking he is not the primary receiver, therefore he doesn't have to finish off. Ferguson throws this ball, and you can see that Dawkins kind of hesitated a little bit. That's a rookie mistake. That's something that the coaches will talk with Mr. Dawkins at length about. Every pattern you run, you act like you're the primary receiver. First turnover of the ball game.
And the 15th time that Ferguson has been intercepted this year. Gooman carries, and he's to the 41-yard line. Give him a gain of 7 on the play.
Gooman is a new position in the NFL. John Robinson calls him the U-back. I suppose that's a utility man, but that's just his 6th carry on the season, his first of the day. Dickerson does get the majority of the business.
In fact, that's the first time anybody except Dickerson has carried today.
Probably the last time, too.
We got a pretty good backup man in Barry Redmond, but he could wait forever to replace Dickerson. And here goes Eric to midfield for a gain of 9.
That was a saving tackle, or at least he spun Eric Dickerson around by Eugene Marv. Now, that Buffalo defense, look at that. The entire team is standing in front of you. 3, 6, 7 guys at the line of scrimmage, and they're trying to string out Eric Dickerson. But watch Marv just get his hand on Dickerson, spins him around, and Parker's able to get him on the ground. Saving play by Eugene Marv.
Just across midfield, Ferragamo swings it out to Dickerson. Dickerson has proved to be a very fine pass receiver, although that play nets just about a yard or 2. And they hardly threw the ball to him at all at SMU, so it wasn't like he was experienced in that regard, but he's really come on and adapted to it quickly in the NFL.
Well, the more times you can get the ball in his hands, Bob, the better off you are. It'll make a lump in the defense's throat every time he touches it. He now comes off for a little bit of a rest, and as you mentioned, Barry Redmond, his replacement, who's not a bad back at all, out of Richmond, was a Heisman Trophy candidate his senior year in college. His replacement.
To the sideline, some confusion on that one.
Whoops.
Denard took off, and Ferragamo threw as if Denard was going to run the short route.
Kent Hill was the closest Los Angeles Ram. Someone miscommunication.
Figures for Ferragamo, the 2 touchdowns have gone to George Farmer, a 45-yarder, and Preston Denard, an 11-yarder.
Well, Dickerson is on the bench. Who in the world will they go to?
Denard out to the left and Farmer out to the right. Barry Redden is the sole setback, and Ferragamo wants a timeout.
He only had 5 seconds on the 30-second clock. And NFL quarterbacks have 30 seconds to get the play off.
So with 12 minutes and 50 seconds to play in the third quarter, score remains 14-7 Los Angeles, and Ferragamo faces third and 9. Costas back with Bob Trumpy. We're early in the third quarter. The Rams hold the same advantage they enjoyed at halftime, 14-7. Still no sign of Dickerson. Redden, the lone setback on third and 9. Well protected. And the catch is made by Farmer, who tried to turn it back to get the first down yardage, but he was stopped at the 45. The flag is down on the play, though.
That's in the area where it's generally holding.
While they try and figure it out, we'll tell you that today's game is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Lee Jeans, the brand that fits. And by Honda Motorcycles. Honda, follow the leader.
It is holding on the Los Angeles Rams. The Bills will decline it. And makes it 4th down. Watch the linebacker, Sanford, 57. See all kinds of people cheating up there. Lots of activity on the line of scrimmage to try to create confusion for the offensive lineman. Somebody threw free. It doesn't work.
Riddick back at the 10. And Misko to punt. Under a heavy rush, he gets it away. Riddick signals the fair catch, lets it bounce, and the Rams will encircle it and down it at about the 7.
Riddick is mad at himself, realizing that if he had caught that punt, it would have saved his team about 10 yards. Well, that's a very, very good punt by Misko. And now Buffalo is faced with 1st and 91 to get back in this ball game.
The spot is actually closer to the 9, and let's call it a 35-yard punt. But more importantly, no return. And 35 is more than acceptable in that situation.
You got that right. Now, the Bills are still struggling to find something that they can refer to as bread and butter today, Bob. They haven't really established anything that they can go to in this situation. Their last offensive set resulted in an interception.
Cribbs the only back. Gets the ball, but not much yardage. Shy of the 10. Eckern first. Collins also there. Let's pause briefly here for station identification on the NBC television network.
This is WGRZ TV2 Buffalo.
2nd and 9 for Buffalo, just shy of their own 10-yard line. They had a 90-yard drive for their only touchdown.
This is a big drive. Field position here would be certainly in favor of the Rams,
who already lead it 14-7. Ferguson from his own goal line is again right on target with the pass. He has thrown some excellent passes today. The catch was made by Byron Franklin. His receivers have betrayed him a few times, failing to hold on to perfectly thrown balls, but this time Franklin makes the catch.
That's 85, Jack Youngblood. You make the comment that Ferguson's thrown the ball well. He's thrown the ball well with people in his face, like Jack Youngblood, who treats Ferguson rather gently. Completion, 1st down Buffalo, big play.
Youngblood, in his 13th year out of Florida, remains the leading sack man for the Ram defense. Exactly 11 minutes remaining intercepted by Nolan Cromwell. Now that was one of the few poorly thrown balls by Ferguson.
But there was something wrong with the pattern there. You had Booker Moore 34 and 87 Tony Hunter within 4 yards of each other. And offensive coaches don't design plays where receivers end up 4 yards from each other.
The touchdown pass went to Tony Hunter, a 15-yarder to cap a 90-yard drive in the second quarter. Ferguson backpedaling and throwing it over the head of Booker Moore on the attempted screen. It looked like there might have been a little confusion before the snap. Ferguson was motioning to Franklin to get moving. He was in motion on the play.
Well, the Bills have just been out of sync today. They've just established nothing. And at this point in the ballgame, they're 1 of 5 in converting third downs to first, and this is a big one. Very telling stat right there. Last week, the Bills had the same problem. What'd you say? They only converted 1 out of 9 or 1 out of 10?
1 of 9.
1 of 9.
Gary Jeter is in as an extra pass rusher. Vince Newsom as a nickel back for the Ram defense. From the shotgun, Ferguson. Over the head of Perry Tuttle, and incomplete.
Now, it appeared the Buffalo Bills receivers gave up on their patterns too quickly there. That was an all-out blitz by the Los Angeles Rams. In single coverage, you would expect someone to be open. They are playing with backup receivers. We have not seen Frank Lewis today with that bruised shoulder. Of course, Jerry Butler out. These are young people who are learning on the job.
Cater standing at his 5. Ellard awaiting the kick. Just inside the Ram 40. Steps up to the 43 to field it. Ducks inside, 45, 40, and down at the 39. And it was Cater who tripped him up, the punter.
So often, once that punt returner gets through the first wave of tacklers on the punt team, you're going to see an awful lot of yards. Watch him cut inside right there. And all of a sudden, he's through that first wave, and it's an 18-yard return after a 38-yard punt.
Cater takes him down. Vince Ferragamo and company get it at the 39-yard line of Buffalo. Eric Dickerson has not scored a TD today. His season total remains at 19. The all-time single-season record is 23. The catch is made by Barber. And Barber is close to a first down at the 29.
Chris Keating on the tackle, along with Lucius Sanford. And you can see what the threat of Eric Dickerson does to a defense. It just freezes those linebackers in their steps for a split second. And then you've got areas for people like Mike Barber to get open. You mentioned the thing about Eric Dickerson. You know, he was recruited by John Robinson when John Robinson was at USC. Wanted to make him a tailback.
Would have been a pretty good one for the Trojans, just as he was for the Mustangs. Here he is. Second down and less than a yard. He's got that and then some to the 22. Darryl Talley makes the tackle, the rookie linebacker.
There are times when Dickerson carries the ball, Bob, that there should be violins playing behind him. And this is one of them. That play is designed to go way left. And just with improvisation, picks up a first down and makes it look easy.
At the 22-yard line, Dickerson has worn glasses day to day since the 6th grade, and he's worn them to play football since the 8th grade. From the 22, whoops, incomplete.
Whoops.
Barber was the target.
Late flag on Darryl Talley, 56. And it's going to be a personal foul on the Buffalo Bills. Let's watch. There's Dickerson cutting down Talley. And let's keep watching a little longer. I think he's going to put his foot right down on the head of Eric Dickerson, and that's a no-no. Darryl Talley knows better than that.
He does now.
Personal foul, number 56. That's the first down.
Ben Dreif administering the lesson to young Talley. So it's 1st and 10 at the 11, and the Rams already leading at 14-7, threatened for more. 8:56 to play, third quarter. Dickerson. Only a couple. Mentioned the record for touchdowns in a season. O.J. Simpson has it. In 1975, he scored 23 times. That same year, Chuck Foreman had 22 for Minnesota. In 1965, Gale Sayers had 22 for the Bears. But keep in mind, those were all accomplished in 14-game seasons.
Okay, I got that in mind. This is where Eric Dickerson is an excellent running back. Along with his great speed, he's a good, tough runner. Look at that defense by the Bills, though. 9 guys at the line of scrimmage, Bob.
Dickerson gets a block from Gooman, change of direction, down to the 2, and a penalty flag is thrown.
Once again, the Buffalo Bills continue to blitz the outside linebackers. Gooman, 44, does a good job blocking. Dickerson able to cut upfield in a hurry, but it's going to be penalty against Buffalo, and the gain will stand.
They'll move it that much closer on the personal foul.
Number 76, half the distance to the goal line. That's a first down.
You know what happened there? The center cut Fred Smerlis' legs out from underneath him. And Fred Smerlis didn't like it, and I told you earlier how intense a player he was. Just in retaliation, I think he fired at the center and Doug Smith and got a penalty.
Two touchdowns. They can punch it across here. They'll ask Dickerson to do it. Not this time.
Great tackle. Marv Kennedy had a lot of people there to stop Eric Dickerson, along with Bill Acker. That was an outstanding tackle from the inside.
They lose a yard, maybe a little bit more. Back to the 2. Clock running, 7:40 to play in the third quarter. He has owned their running game. Nearly 80% of all their rushing yards belong to the SMU product. He's got 89 yards today on 21 carries. Once more. Did he get there? Yep. He did. Touchdown number 20.
Strong
13th game of his rookie season, his 20th TD.
Excuse me, Bob. Strong safety Michael Kennedy had a shot at it, but you saw Mike Gooman, 44, going in motion. He makes a good block on the outside man, and Dickerson once again with strength turns upfield, takes the contact, most of it from his own player. Looks like Doug Smith, the center, and Dickerson scores as does Smith.
Making his 1983 debut as a Ram place kicker. He handled those duties for them last year. And now has replaced Chuck Nelson this season, and he's 3 for 3 on point after tries and hasn't had to attempt a field goal yet.
Once again on that sweep, watch Mike Gooman, the up man, the eye back. Now, he can move laterally, but he can't move forward. And the ball is snapped precisely after he moves, and watch. Dickerson and Smith both score, but it only counts 6 points.
The Rams Rams lead it 21-7. We've got 7 minutes and 21 seconds to play in quarter number 3 from Anaheim. We'll be right back. Vicinity of 1,500 yards for the season now, has a very good chance to break the rookie rushing record, and we'll tell you about that after Riddick brings this kickback. Well, he's still on his feet and across the 30-yard line. Good return to the 32. He brought it back 21 yards, and we'll check with NFL 83 in New York.
Thank you, Bob Costas. In Seattle, here come the Seahawks. Out of the shotgun, Dave Craig. Over the middle, Dan Dornick. Wide open, 27 yards. So Seattle cuts Kansas City's lead now to 28-21. Back to Anaheim.
All right, thank you, Lenny. We mentioned Eric Dickerson's rushing total. George Rogers holds the rookie record, 1,674 yards in 1981. Otis Anderson of the Cardinals had 1,605 and 79. Each of those in 16-game seasons. Ferguson firing long, double coverage, and nearly intercepted by Leroy Irvin. Franklin was the target.
Field's now showing a little bit of desperation. They are down by 2 touchdowns, but in throwing the ball long down there, the percentage of completion for passes of this length is less than 15%. And so they're really desperate. There you see Franklin. It's just a foot race with Johnny Johnson. Leroy Irvin, 47, makes it over there. Incomplete, 2nd and 10.
They were down by a lot more than this. 24-3 with less time remaining than they have now a week ago at home against the Raiders. Matt Copeland rallied them, tied it up 24-24 until a Chris Barr field goal from 36 yards on the last play of the game. Pulled it out. The Raiders. Ferguson has it go off the hands of Joe Cribbs and incomplete.
Joe's wondering if he's got to walk out there and hand it to him. He's had some drops today.
At least a half dozen.
But you huddle up again, and Ferguson is now 0 for his last 6 pass attempts.
Look of concern creasing the face of Kay Stevenson. The team put together that one long drive in the second quarter, and they covered 90 yards. Since then, they haven't threatened. 6:56 left in the third. Ferguson's throw, that might have been interference.
They got it. You're right.
And it wasn't a bad play defensively, because if Eric Harris had not held on to Julius Dawkins, Dawkins could have walked in for the touchdown.
A little exchange of niceties there with the big guys, but that'll be pass interference and an automatic first down for the Buffalo Bills. This is a good pattern and great speed. You see the Bills pick up the blitz. See if we can pick up the interference. Right there's the contact. You're right. Not that contact. That's 6 points. That ball was on the money.
So Buffalo will have it at the Ram 43. Here's the call.
Defense, pass interference. That's a first down.
If it continues this way, I would think this is the only time the Bills play so far this season where they have been out-penalized by their opponents.
For whatever it may be worth, and it might be more coincidence than anything else, Buffalo's 3-0 on natural surface this year. Another long throw. And Byron Franklin for the touchdown. He pushed off to get position, and there was no flag thrown, so Buffalo really lucks out on the play. I was looking for the flag the whole time he was trying to make the catch, and it goes as a touchdown. Ferguson to Franklin.
What's that going to be, about 42 yards? 43 yards on the pass completion. That is a great catch by Byron Franklin earlier in the ball game. He got a quit on a pattern, but on that one, he made up for it.
It was a marvelous catch, and the fact that he might have been guilty of offensive interference doesn't take away from that, because he had to make the athletic move even after the push-off to keep his eye on the ball and catch it even while contact was being made and as he was tumbling across the goal line. So it was a wonderful play, no matter how you slice it, but he might have gotten a break from the officials. A little bit of trouble on the spot, and Kopler has to run for his life. There's also a flag down.
Jack Youngblood was about 3 seconds offside, but they're going to get another chance at it.
You're right.
This is a big play offense, the Buffalo Bills. Watch Jack Youngblood. He's almost there to spot the ball. But then he does the nice thing. He doesn't wreak havoc back there, which he could have.
So Dinello again. 6:41 to play in the third quarter. This can bring them back to within 7 if he hits it. And the kick is good. Let's watch the touchdown again and see, Trump, if Franklin doesn't push off ever so slightly.
Now, this is always a discretionary call by the officials. Incidental contact is not interference. Franklin did have his eyes on the ball as it approaches him, and the defensive back did not. You can see Eric Harris. I don't know about it. That's so difficult to call. I suppose if you're a Los Angeles Ram fan, that's interference. If you're a Buffalo Bill fan, that's a touchdown. Easy. Watch once again with the spread of the defense. Again, also a man right in Ferguson's face, but he takes it. And you see Harris. Now Franklin comes back on the ball very well. Bobbles it.
What concentration. Keep his eye on it. Ball it in. 4 passes for 106 yards and the 43-yard touchdown from Ferguson that brings the Bills back to within 7. Barry Redden fields the kick by Dinello and runs head-on into a couple of Bills at the 22. As the Rams set up offensively, let's check again with NFL 83 in New York.
Okay, Bob, up the coast in Seattle from where you are. The comeback is complete after an interception. Kurt Warner goes up and over. That game is now tied at 28. Take that, Chiefs. Back to Bob Costas.
All right, Len. Trump, you're pointing at something.
Yeah,
Tell me what.
We got a Los Angeles Raider on the sideline at the 20-yard. Los Angeles Rams. How can I say that?
It's confusing.
It's the El Segundo Raiders. It's the Los Angeles Rams.
Barry Redden, who returned the kick, who was shaken up afterwards. Redden is Dickerson's backup, and the few times he's gotten a chance to play, he's acquitted himself very well. He had a big fourth quarter, you may recall, in the Monday night game against Atlanta a couple of weeks back. He's averaging 5 yards a carry. He took a shot returning that kickoff, but he appears to be okay now. Dickerson, the single setback. Barring injury, is cinched to go past both Otis Anderson. As Ferragamo connects with David Hill. And Hill is close to a first down near the 32. Started to say Dickerson is cinched to go past. The impressive rookie totals of better than 1,600 yards accumulated by Otis Anderson for the Cardinals in '79 and George Rogers for the Saints in '81.
Wow, this is a game that if John Robinson could sit down and drop a script, this would be perfect. The Rams score first, stay ahead, and now lead 21-14. That means that they can continue to give the ball to Eric Dickerson. Of course, when they're behind by a couple of touchdowns, you kind of take it out of his hands. That's first down by David Hill. Take the ball out of Dickerson's hands and you got to throw it. So far, this has gone as John Robinson's script would dictate.
A week ago, they were so far behind against Washington. Dickerson came out in the third quarter, didn't return. Robinson explained afterwards, I knew we had no chance. I'd rather keep him healthy for another day. That day is today as Dickerson is approaching 100 yards, which would be the 10th time he's done it this year. That doesn't add much to that total.
Still, though, the Buffalo Bills defense should be proud. They've been able to shut down Dickerson, keep him to 12 yards as his longest run. And that's an accomplishment. I'm sure they'd rather win and give him 300 yards, but still, we're in this ball game with 5:20 to go in the third quarter.
Dickerson, 23 carries for 93 yards at this point. Batted down at the line of scrimmage. And it falls before anybody can grab it. I think Ken Johnson, number 91, is the man who made contact with it.
Got his hands up, as defensive linemen are taught. You don't have to sack the quarterback if you can set up a picket fence there for him to throw through.
Let me make a correction on Dickerson. I said he'd gone over 100 yards 9 times. It's 7 times this year. So he's bidding to do it for the 8th time this season.
Well, shame on you, but I'm glad you got a chance to correct it.
Set the record straight. From the 34-yard line, 3rd down 8. Here he is on the draw. He gets 5. So they'll have to punt. Fred Smerlas makes the tackle. And Buffalo will have a chance to put together a drive for the possible tying score. 4 minutes and 45 seconds to play in the third quarter.
Buffalo has come close to blocking a Misco punt today. A good opportunity, good time for them to really put extra pressure on it.
Riddick again, the deep man. Dickerson went over 1,500 yards for the season on that carry. He's now at 1,504. Riddick at the 20. Slips through the first wave of tacklers, but not the second. To the 30-yard line, a 10-yard return. Vince Newsom made the tackle. And a 41-yard kick by Misco. So Ferragamo and company lead by 7. But Ferguson's troops have the ball. 70 yards from the possible tying score with just over 4 minutes to play in the third quarter. Booker Moore joins Joe Cribbs in the backfield. Ferguson will go to the air on 1st down. And Cribbs almost had it. Lofted it over the linebacker, Collins. Cribbs could not quite make the grab.
Once again, Gary Jeter right in Ferguson's face, and this ball was well thrown. Just a little uproot out of the backfield, and you see Jim Collins, 50, running for his dear life to keep up with him. Oh, that's ever so close.
Chargers are leading Denver 28-7 in the third quarter under the direction of Dan Fouts this week. Here it's 21-14 Rams. And Roosevelt Leaks is in the backfield, number 48 for Buffalo. Incomplete. Cromwell on the coverage, and Dawkins was the target, number 89.
Bob, all day long, the Los Angeles Rams have blitzed outside linebackers. Watch Cribbs.
Good job.
He gets Andrews to the ground, gets his hands down. Ball slow, thrown a little high, but I believe that ball is catchable. It appeared that the ball went outside Dawkins' hand, didn't it, on that replay? May have taken his eye off it ever so slightly.
Not the easiest catch in the world.
You're right.
The kind you have to make more often than not if you want to play consistently in this league. Ferguson has completed just 2 of 10 in the second half, but he has had a few drops. He's in trouble this time, which he escapes and wishes he hadn't. Eric Harris has his second interception of the day and is still on his feet and inside the 25-yard line of Buffalo. The first 12 games of the year, Harris had intercepted but 1. He's picked off 2 today.
This was a mistake by Joe Ferguson. He saw Joe Cribbs open for an instant, but Jack Youngblood once again with great pressure. He's flushed in the pocket, and Harris with the coverage on Cribbs just steps in front of him. Ferguson knows he shouldn't have thrown that football. Trying to do too much in that situation, Bob. Throw the ball out of bounds, you go back to third down and 10, you try again.
First down. Darryl Talley on the tackle, number 56.
You can see Mike Newman, 44 of the Rams, as a personal escort for Eric Dickerson. Goes in motion, leads on sweeps and powers.
Dickerson has gone over 100 yards unofficially for the game. 101 on 25 carries.
He certainly worked for it today, hasn't he?
Second down, 7 from the 20. Timing pattern to the end zone for Farmer and incomplete. Fans are screaming for interference on the play. Mario Clark had the coverage. Farmer burned Clark for a touchdown in the first half.
At times, the officials are put in a no-win situation. Incidental contact is not interference. Standing right there and looking at it, and he deems that incidental contact, and therefore no interference.
So it's 3rd and 7.
What's the confusion here?
Ferragamo is upset with Ben Drive. There's an official's timeout with 3:01 remaining.
Timeout, Los Angeles.
Now they charge it to the Rams, who have only 1 left. While Ferragamo talks with Robinson, it gives us a chance to get another update from New York.
All right, keeping track of the Denver-San Diego game in San Diego. The Charger offense is cranked up with Dan Fouts today. Look at Chuck Muncie take the pitch out, cruise in for the score. It's now 28-7 Chargers. Now back to Bob Costas and Bob Trumpy.
Thanks very much, Len Berman.
I can't for the life of me figure out what the discussion with the official was there. And it may have been when they started the 30-second clock and how little time there was left for them to get a play off. And generally, the officials will not start the clock until the wide receivers, Bob, have come back across the line of scrimmage. Then they start the clock.
So it could have been Ferragamo's contention that they started it before Farmer had a chance to come all the way back to the huddle.
That is correct.
But more important now, they need 7 yards. That's Farmer in motion. Ferragamo backpedaling as he throws, and over the head of Denard and incomplete.
Chris Williams had good coverage on Preston Denard. He had no chance to catch the football.
Now Mike Lansford will try his first field goal of the 1983 season. Last year he was 9 of 15. Chuck Nelson, who, like Lansford, is from the University of Washington. Nelson, the rookie, selected in the 4th round this year, won the job in training camp, but had made just 5 of 11, missed 4 extra points, and had 5 blocks, so they brought Lansford back. And his first try will be from 37 yards. Cromwell holds. Yes.
You watch this guy walk to the sideline. First thing he does is go over and put his shoe and sock on to kick off. Down in that mess. There he is.
Well, he's up their lead to 10 at 24-14 with 2 minutes and 51 seconds remaining now in the 3rd quarter. Coming up next Saturday at 2 Eastern Time, one of the great college basketball rivalries, the UCLA Bruins face the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame at South Bend, Indiana. Then again on NBC Sports World. America's top gymnastic Olympic hopefuls compete in the Women's World Invitational Gymnastics Classic. And from New York City, the Men's Open Pocket Billiard Championships. You'll see some different shaped bodies when they switch from the gymnastics to the pocket billiards, that's for sure. All next Saturday on NBC Sports. There's one sport where a training regimen is not of the utmost importance.
Yeah, there are pool players that I have known that for years don't see the light of day.
Lansford's got the shoe in place now.
Now, why would you suppose he wears a shoe for kickoffs and no shoe for place kicks or extra points?
He may feel, this is just a guess, that he gets a better feel for the ball off the bare foot, and that would improve his accuracy, but can get a little more oomph into it with a shoe on, and he's kicking for distance rather than direction on kickoff. Riddick takes this up the middle to the 34-yard line.
One thing I think we'll both agree, kickers are generally pretty weird people. And you would expect the kicker to, for some reason, feel more comfortable with a shoe and sock off on place kicks than a shoe on kicking. And if it works, go out there in a swimming suit.
There's Lansford. Franklin is in motion. Short time ago, he made a spectacular touchdown catch. Booker Moore for short yardage across the 35. Jack Youngblood makes the tackle.
Bob, that's a play to keep the defense honest. They had Franklin in motion, had a pass set, give it to Moore up the middle, hoping they catch him on an outside blitz and pop him through there. Buffalo has got to throw the ball a lot.
Mentioned Youngblood on that tackle. He has downplayed the difficulties that might have been involved in switching from the 4-3 to the 3-4 at this late stage of his career. He says it is not as much of an adjustment as people suspect. Ferguson. Broken up, intended for Hunter. It was Eckern who reached in to knock it away. And now Ferguson is 2 of 12 with 2 interceptions in the second half, but he has thrown for a touchdown in this half.
Now the Rams now have the Bills at a real disadvantage. They know they've got to throw the football, so you're going to see the linebackers lay back in coverage. The defensive linemen put their ears back, as everyone in this business says. They get a 4-man front, and it's going to be very difficult now for the Bills to throw the ball vertically down the field.
A minute 59 to play in the quarter. 24-14 Los Angeles. That's going to be short of the first down. Booker Moore made the catch, but they drove him back before he could get to the yardstick, and Eckern led that charge.
Interesting choice here.
When you say throw the ball vertically down the field, and the choice by Stevenson is to send Cater in to kick, I guess some people wonder, well, how else would you throw it down the field other than vertically? But there is a distinction to be made, so why don't you explain it?
In football, the field is horizontal from sideline to sideline and vertical from end zone to end zone. So vertically down the field is get the ball deep down the middle as opposed to out to the sideline. Good enough for you?
I'll buy it. Okay. Cater will kick. Ellard goes at the 10. This could be the break Buffalo's looking for. Looks like they do. He did not call for the fair catch. It was Van Williams who recovers it inside the 10-yard line. And the general rule, especially when you're ahead in a ball game in the late stages, is that deep, 10-yard line or so, you're going to do one of two things. You're going to let it bounce, or you're going to make the fair catch, but you are not going to field it in that kind of situation.
Well, this young man obviously made a mistake, but you can't really fault him. He's a rookie, and he wants to help the ball club, but with 55 seconds to go in the third quarter, the smart thing is simply make the catch. That's the #1 priority. They've given the Buffalo Bills life now.
at the 6. They can take it in and add the extra point. They'll be to within 3. Roosevelt leaks for his first carry, gets 3 yards. Nolan Cromwell on the stop.
Funny how quickly this game changes. One rookie mistake, and all of a sudden the other team, who has struggled all day long, is back in the ballgame.
30 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter.
Question for our official statman. Is that not Los Angeles' first turnover of the ball game?
It is.
Certainly a very ill time. If any is a good time turnover, that's a no-no.
Fake to Leaks. Throw over the middle. Throw by Hunter. In his arms, and he dropped it.
Jim Collins in the coverage, and I don't think he made contact with the football. Ferguson's got to wonder here. Wait a minute. Do I have to put a handle on it? Sew it to your uniform? Watch this now. Let's see if we can see Collins' hand come in here. I don't think so. That ball just bounced right off of his shoulder pads. Hunter is known as a receiver with great hands, but he let the ball get to his chest, which is a terrible, terrible mistake.
Brings up 3rd and goal. Ferguson wants to talk it over.
That's the 3rd timeout.
No, it's the Rams who asked for the timeout.
Bob, they had 12 men on the field. And it's a good thing they called a timeout, because Reggie Doss, number 70, came off the field. But it was Charles DeJournay came off the field through the end zone, and that's not legally coming off the field. You've got to go off the sideline in the field of play. They got to call the penalty. That's got to hurt the Rams later on in this ball game too.
In what figures to be a game now that's going to go down to the wire. The Rams without any timeouts. It seems to me that exiting the field through the back of the end zone played a role in a very controversial and memorable game up in Seattle, I think, between the Broncos and the Seahawks a few years ago, and I think it was Jim Turner's last game in the National Football League, and they might have gotten a second chance on a field goal.
You may be right.
Because of a play like that.
Well, the rule is that you cannot exit the field in the end zone. All you have to do is get off to your side of the field. You can't go to your opponent's side of the field, but you must go out in the field of play. And DeJournay was very, very late in getting off, and therefore Los Angeles had to take the timeout.
With 8 seconds to play, 3rd quarter.
By the way, I might define field of play as goal line to goal line. That does not include the end zone.
Ferguson has thrown 24 touchdown passes this year, but the Bills have run for only 3 TDs in the entire season.
There's nobody over
here.
Cribbs.
Over his head. I'm open. Led him too far.
The Rams did a heck of a job in coverage out here on this rollout. There was nobody open. Also with motion, a Los Angeles Ram player down. His own man, the linebacker, trying to come. Watch right behind you. Hey, he knocks him down. That's Nolan Cromwell on his tush there. Look at this coverage by the Los Angeles Rams. There is nobody there to throw it to. In desperation, Ferguson back to Cribbs. Incomplete. They'll try for a field goal, it appears.
That's the end of the 3rd quarter. Ferguson's Bills trailing Ferragamo's Rams as we start the 4th quarter. Joe Danello with a chance to cut it to 7.
Wow, this is a big, big series for the Los Angeles Rams. The Bills had the ball 1st and goal at the 6. And if they hold them to just 3 points. Oh, look at that. This is no sure thing for Joe Danello, too.
Not a lot. He's also missed a couple of extra points this year. But this one is good.
Great job by Koepfer. It was a high snap, and he was able to get it down in a hurry.
With 3 seconds gone in the 4th quarter, it's a 7-point game as we check with New York.
In Seattle, check out this run by Ken Thomas, the brother of former Ram Gerald Thomas. Breaking tackles. Look at him come out of this one as well. This all led to Kansas City's lead touchdown. They now lead Seattle 35-31. Let's go back to Anaheim.
Wild one between the Chiefs and the Seahawks. Seahawks are a strange team. They're near the bottom of the stats in the league, both offensively and defensively. But they've got some big play capability. Running back kickoffs, forcing turnovers. They'll score on the long pass play.
You know what that means?
Makes up for a lot of other sins, but it also means that no lead is ever safe.
Yeah. What it proves in professional football is you can throw all the stats away. It's the emotion of the game that counts. And if your team plays with emotion and has the confidence in their own ability, you're going to win.
Well, I think a stat that ought to be included in the story of almost every game is a stat called big plays.
Yeah.
Now, very often you'll see total rushing yardage, total passing yardage, third down conversions, and that's all well and good. But there also should be a line about how many plays carried 30 yards or more. Danilo kicks to Ellard inside the 5. And he barely makes it to the 20-yard line. Very often, a team can be outgained overall in a game, but if they have 3 or 4 plays that carry for 30, 40 yards or more, and if their defense comes up with the turnovers and the sacks, that's what will turn the game around.
Bills are in pretty good shape right here. They have been able to keep Dickerson pretty well bottled up with that defense with 9 guys at the line of scrimmage and using just 1 linebacker behind the line of scrimmage. And this is a case where the Los Angeles Rams want to just run the ball right down the Buffalo Bills' throat. But to this point in the ballgame, they've not really been able to do that, even though Dickerson has over 100 yards.
The view from behind Dickerson and Ferragamo. First down pass and a completion. Barber, the tight end. Good run after the catch and a first down.
Hey, how about that? Tally on the tackle, and Buffalo geared to stop Eric Dickerson, and once again just his threat of running the ball. Single coverage out there on Mike Barber, and he picks up a big first down. Watch that defensive set, Bob, just before the snap of the ball. How many guys they have on the line of scrimmage to try to cut down the options of Eric Dickerson. Well, now they're back in their normal defense. Keating sneaking up there.
Another first down pass, another completion to Gooman, and it's another first down. Irvin Parker on the stop, but they got 13.
They're doing a great job of crossing up the Buffalo Bills. Expecting Dickerson to get the ball on every play. And they throw the little high percentage completion. That's a big change in Ferragamo. Years past, the offense was designed to throw the ball 70 yards down the field and hope for a completion. Now, as you mentioned earlier, today he's 15 of 28, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Now they'll pitch it to Dickerson. And Dickerson will get about 6 to midfield. Steve Freeman, the free safety, makes the stop.
Watch the way he glides. Look how steady his head is. Even though he runs and he's jumping, you could put a glass of wine on the top of his head and it wouldn't spill. I mean, this guy is a remarkable athlete.
Glass of wine.
White wine. Yes, that's what they serve here at the hot dog stand, along with frozen daiquiris of all things.
He's got a first down to the 45-yard line. Eugene Marv on the tackle. You know, a problem for Dickerson early this year was fumbling. He coughed it up 6 times in the first 3 games, and one of them led to a defeat against Green Bay, led directly to a defeat, but he's been very sure-handed since then.
That's going to happen with a young running back like that. He wears a flak jacket. One of the problems with a flak jacket is that there is no place to really tuck the ball in on your side. That is real hard plastic protecting your ribs. And because of that, the ball can squirt loose. And, of course, just the fact that he carries the ball 23, 24 times a ball game, he's got a darn good chance of turning it loose every once in a while.
11:55 left in the game. Rams 24, Bills 17. Inside handoff to Gooman, and it pops open for him. It's another Rams first down. They'll spot it at the 34 as we check again with NFL 83 in New York. Take it, fellas.
Big play moments ago in Seattle. The Seahawks are driving for the lead score. Look at Dave Craig. The quarterback just drops it. And 264-pound Dino Mangiero takes off and thinks he's Kurt Warner. Here goes Dino, fourth-year player out of Rutgers. Kansas City has the ball back.
Dino.
The question is, Lenny, is he in the end zone yet?
Jackie Slater was injured on the play. There he is walking off. And we'll take this break. Russ Bollinger, who earlier in the game replaced Bill Bain briefly after Bain was shaken up, now is in at the right tackle spot, replacing Slater.
This is a well-orchestrated drive here by the Los Angeles Rams.
Dickerson across the 25-yard line for another first down as he gains 11. Today's game is brought to you by Chevrolet. America is on the move, and Chevrolet is supplying the wheels. Chevrolet and you taking charge by the Travelers Insurance Companies and your independent professional Travelers agent or broker, and by Hertz, the #1 way to rent a car.
One of the secrets for Dickerson's runs is the offensive line in there. The Rams offensive line coach is a guy named Hudson Houck, and the first guy that John Robinson hired was Hudson Houck. He was a line coach at USC, coached 7 All-Americans, and I think all 7 of them were first-round draft choices in the NFL.
Dickerson again smacked by Michael Kennedy.
You can hear that all the way up here.
Well, Bill Bain, the left tackle, has been quoted as saying that Dickerson is one guy who might be able to make yardage without an offensive line in front of him. Somebody should have taken care of Kennedy, though, for Dickerson's sake on that play.
I doubt that.
Just quoting Trump.
But he does make an offensive lineman's job very, very easy. You don't have to hold their block that long. He can get by a defensive man.
9:50 to play. 24-17 Rams. Barry Redden carries. And Redden gets outside before being collared. And there are flags all over the place.
These are raining flags. Steve Freeman got the face mask of Barry Redden. He appears to be all right. Question, was it flagrant?
Redden got 10 on his own. They'll tack on some more with the penalty.
So see, he proves that it's not just Dickerson. Redden comes in, first carry of the ball game.
Defense, face mask, 26. That's a first down.
Charles Romes is the guilty party.
Excuse me, Mr. Freeman. Watch once again. Ken Hill, left guard, center Smith, Hara pulling. They clean some people out, don't they? There's 26 who grabs the face mask. Whoa. That'll stop you in a hurry.
First and goal at the 5. Dickerson, touchdown.
Flag down. Dennis Hara, offensive right guard, holding on Ben Williams.
So that would negate Dickerson's 21st touchdown of the year, which would tie him with the Redskins' John Riggins for the league lead. And they're each on a record-setting pace in that regard.
See if we can pick up the holding on the right.
Offense, number 60. No touchdown.
Yep. Dennis Hara on Ben Williams. Kind of a single-arm takedown. Now first and 15. Left side of your screen. See if you can pick it up. There's Hara. Ah, yes, he's got Ben Williams by the arm. And the sad thing is, useless for him to do that. He was a trap blocker. Eric Dickerson was coming inside.
9:41 remaining. It becomes first and goal at the 15. Ferragamo got it right back. The touchdown to Preston Denard, his second of the day.
Whoops. That'll cost him $65 in a fine. Just handed it to a man up in the stands.
So Dickerson's loss is Ferragamo and Denard's gain, as they do the honors on the touchdown.
Nice call, too. Excellent call. To your right, you'll see just above the coverage, the linebacker hesitated. 54 Marv. Ball right over his outstretched fingers. Kennedy also in coverage. That was too easy. Well thrown by Ferragamo.
For Ferragamo, his third touchdown pass. And 21st of the year. Good out of Cromwell's hold is good. Another look at the TD, which makes it 31-17 Rams.
This time from the defensive side. Good protection. Nice touch on the football. And he hands it to, let's hope, a relative.
So after forcing Buffalo to settle for a field goal at the other end, the Rams march 80 yards in 9 plays, have the ball more than 5 minutes, cap it off on the pass to Denard, and lead by 14. 9 minutes and 37 seconds left in the game, and it's a low kick which Darryl Talley fields and gets across the 35 with it. Tonight on NBC's First Camera, story of a teenage tragedy. Young brothers who appeared on their way to some very promising lives until a drunk driver took their lives. The First Camera will ask the question, what can we all learn from a tragedy that didn't have to happen? Also a report on a special police unit that tracks repeat offenders and stops them before they can strike again. That's on First Camera tonight, followed by another action-packed episode of Knight Rider and Paul Newman in the network movie premiere of Fort Apache the Bronx. That's tonight on NBC. From the 37, Ferguson throws into a crowd and completes it at the 45-yard line. There's a flag down on the play. We'll sort it out when we come back after this report from New York.
All right, Bob, remember those Dino Mangiero heroics we showed you a few moments ago? Here's how the drive wound up. Bill Kenny throws to Carlos Carson for the touchdown. Kansas City gets lots of offense, stretches their lead to 42-31 over Seattle. Back to Anaheim.
Thanks, Len Berman. The gain for the Bills is negated. They're guilty of holding, and they're pushed back to the 28-yard line. Does not look good for Kay Stevenson.
Be just their second loss of the season on the road. I mean, in this ball game, 4-1 now. 4-2 if it remains this way.
9:21 left, though. Down by 2 touchdowns. Ferguson swings it to Booker Moore. Can't get away. Jim Collins makes the stop right about at the original line of scrimmage. So it'll be 2nd and 20.
In looking, excuse me.
Go ahead, Trump.
In looking back in this ball game for the Buffalo Bills offense, I think the one point that Kay Stevenson will make is that they just really could not get anything established today. Take pressure off another aspect of their game. They just couldn't really find a way to keep in step.
2nd and 20. Protected well. And is it intercepted? Who's got the ball? Might be Eckern with it. And it is. He has played a whale of a ball game.
Yes, he
linebacker spot today.
Yes, he has.
It was a wrestling match with the receiver, but Eckern was able to wrest it away.
Watch once again. This ball is caught simultaneously, it appears, by Hunter and Eckern. And Eckern does a good job keeping the ball away from Hunter and hanging on to the football. Rams have it back.
A rough second half for Ferguson. 4 of 17. 3 interceptions, all in the second half. Those are his composite figures for the game. Now the Rams trying to put it away with 8:22 left and leading by 14. Dickerson adding some more yards to a total which has already gone over 100. Right now, the Dolphins watching this game as they sit at home preparing to take on Cincinnati tomorrow night. The Dolphins, with a victory over Cincinnati, would go to 9-4. Buffalo, unless they rally here, will be 7-6. Baltimore lost to Cleveland while the Jets were beating New England, so everybody else in the AFC East is 6-7. So if this score holds up and Miami wins tomorrow night, they are really in the driver's seat in the AFC East. Dickerson has nearly doubled the total of the Bills on the ground. This time for a loss. Mike Kennedy on the tackle.
Now I got a question for you. You're John Robinson, leading 31-17, 7:33 left, and a running back that you have built your offense around. Don't you think now's the time to get him out of there? Give Redden a little experience. He's carried the ball 31 times so far today. I'd protect him as best I possibly could.
Dickerson's 31 carries. His second highest workload of the season. He had 34 carries against the Bears a few weeks ago. Catch is made by Barber.
Michael Kennedy on the tackle, but watch the hands at the line of scrimmage. Here's Dickerson. With 62, Irvin Parker. He's looking at Dickerson instead of the quarterback. Gets his hand up late. Might have been able to block it.
So they pick up only one, which brings up 4th and 4. Lansford hit from 37 on his only try of the day and of the season earlier today. This will be a 45-yard attempt. And if he hits it, the Bills will need 3 scores, either win or tie. But it was partially blocked. Somebody got a hand on it. It trickles into the end zone. Scott Verkus, number 93, is the man who deflected it. And the Bills are still alive, if barely so, with 6:09 left.
Well, maybe it's not the kicker, but the people that block for him. This is, you say, about the 5th or 6th kick that the Rams have had blocked so far this year. Watch 93 jump over there. Managed to get his hands up. That stings. That really stings.
So the Bills get the ball back at their 28-yard line, just over 6 minutes to work with. If Buffalo hopes to have a chance, they've got to put something together pronto here. Ferguson connects on the screen to Booker Moore, who breaks 2 tackles but not the third and is down at the 32. Jim Collins finally stopped him.
That's a lot of tough running for 4 yards. Good idea, but it was not a screen pass. Booker Moore was there by himself, unescorted.
A moment ago, we checked the standings in the AFC East. In the Central, the suddenly resurgent Browns are 8-5, and Pittsburgh is 9-4. So the Browns, who didn't look good when we saw them a month or so ago at Cincinnati, are within a game of their division title and in good shape in the wild card race. Ferguson's pass incomplete.
One thing has remained constant. Every time we've shown Buffalo throwing the ball, Joe Cribbs, after getting rid of it, is getting up off the ground. Rams have, even though not sacked him very many times, kept pressure on Ferguson all day long. See how dirty his jersey is. He's going to feel it today. Tonight, flying back to Buffalo.
Those bumps and bruises would be easier to take if they could somehow rally and pull it out. 5 21 is all that's left to them. Again, it falls incomplete, but there's a flag on this play. And I think it's going to go against the Rams.
It's going to be against Jim Collins. Pass interference. That's happened quite a few times today, has it not? See where his fifth. He'll come.
Pass interference, number 50. That's a first down.
So a first down at the 38-yard line.
That's going to happen when you got linebackers dropping in coverage. Once that ball is thrown, they take their eye off the ball and go for the receiver. You can't get mad at a guy trying to make contact.
And there's some contact they didn't want to make. Gary Jeter jumping off. The former Giant. Cost them 5.
Defense 77, encroachment.
If Johnny Robinson's team can hold on here, they'll be 8-5. San Francisco has lost today. They're 7-6. The Bears beat them 13-3. So the Rams would have a 1-game lead in the NFC West. And if somehow they should fall from that perch, they would still be in good shape with regard to a wild card. Booker Moore makes the catch. Of course, New Orleans won today as well, beating Minnesota. So the Saints are 7-6, and in the same spot the 49ers are, a game back, at least potentially a game back of the Rams.
Interesting thing about this turnaround by the Los Angeles Rams. If they win today, the Rams will have equaled their previous 2 seasons' wins. They were 2-7 last year, 6-10 the year before, and they got their 8th win 4 minutes and 42 seconds away today.
Second down 1. Booker Moore gets the first down and then some. Drags Collins with him for extra yardage. And a timeout is asked for. No, a flag is down. So this won't be charged to anybody. A flag down on the play. Holding Buffalo. Just 4 minutes and 29 seconds to try and concoct a miracle.
Offense holding number 53.
Will Grant, the center, holding on that particular play. But it's still second down and 10, so certainly in a position to run 2 downs here to try to make the first down.
Late in the fourth quarter, I'm told that Atlanta leads Green Bay 41-34 after trailing by 3 touchdowns earlier. Ferguson. Intercepted. Threw it right into the arms of Johnny Johnson. And Johnson is taken down near midfield, and that should just about do it with 4:17 left. Wait a minute, there's a flag down on the play. But it's thrown in the Buffalo backfield, so it could well be holding. Let's see what Ben Bryce and company decide.
It's going to be, I believe, face mask on Buffalo after the interception. So they'll tack on yards. After the interception, Los Angeles has the ball. One other time this season, Ferguson has thrown 4 interceptions versus New England. And you can see he's not happy with his
Personal
performance
foul,
today.
grabbing and pulling the face mask, number 53. Buffalo.
Total zone coverage by the Rams. Ferguson is trying to get it into Julius Dawkins. And Johnson playing center field there, makes the interception.
Dickerson still in, takes the pitch, and is brought down for a loss by Darryl Talley.
I still wonder why Dickerson's in there.
Exactly 4 minutes remaining.
Well, we don't have to wonder anymore. Dickerson comes off. Larry Redden takes his place. Not a bad season.
And unless he gets hurt, as we said before, he'll go past both Anderson and Rogers. And each of them played 16-game seasons, as do a few, so Dickerson has had no unfair advantage. Redden trying to bounce outside, but can't do it. Clock running with 3:25 left. Third down coming up. Chris Keating on the tackle for Buffalo.
Well, Dickerson back in the ballgame. It's strange. If you take him out losing 42-6, why would you leave him in winning 31-17? But John Robinson has certainly handled an awful lot of gifted I-backs at USC. I'm sure he knows better how to handle them than I do.
Well, if Buffalo can stop them on this play, they'll have 3 timeouts of their own, plus the 2-minute warning. But they need 2 touchdowns. The pass is complete to David Hill, but he stopped shy of the first down. Holy cow. Tied at 41 with 2 seconds left before they head to overtime. That is, unless Atlanta runs the kickback for a touchdown, which the way that game's been going is possible. This is 4th and 4. And the Rams haven't decided yet what they're going to do.
Now, you let the clock run down. The 2-minute warning will stop the clock. And then you kick it. So Buffalo, I believe, takes a timeout. Good use of the clock.
If Green Bay should win that game against Atlanta, they'd be 7-6. Minnesota lost today. They're 7-6. Detroit won on Thanksgiving. They're 7-6. San Francisco losing and New Orleans winning today. Each of them 7-6. What a wild card situation. We know that one of the wild cards in the NFC will be either Dallas or Washington, whichever does not win in the Eastern Division. But for that second and last wild card spot, what a struggle. This is what remains for Los Angeles. They are looking at 8-5 and a 1-game lead in the NFC West right now. But that game with New Orleans, if the Saints can stay close, could be for the division title. Well, they've called on Lansford. The kick would be from close to 50 yards away.
Gee, I wonder about this now. Seems to me your best bet is to punt the ball. Or do you go there and try to draw Buffalo offside and just get a penalty contact on the play and get a first down?
This is a 49-yard attempt. He's hit from 37, had one blocked from 45. This has enough leg, and it's a bullseye.
That's why. Because John Robinson expected Lansford to make the kick. Simple as that. Don't step on his foot there, fellas. Stay away from him.
So the Rams now contemplating the possibility of their first trip to the playoffs since 1980. And the addition of Lansford, who has hit on a couple of field goals today, has to help them. Chuck Nelson had struggled as their regular kicker up until this week.
They were former roommates. Imagine that relationship is a bit strained presently. .202 left. 34-17 Los Angeles. I don't think Chuck Nelson has moved from the sideline. He's at the right 35. Hand on helmet right there in front of the sideline official. He probably realizes this may be his last week or his last day as a Los Angeles Ram, replaced by his college roommate.
Lansford's kick is fielded by Riddick. doesn't quite make it to the 30, but the fortunes of kickers in the NFL are so strange. Buffalo, which has gone through several, had a kid named Gary Anderson. Cut him last year preseason. Look what he's doing with Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Now, as always, at the 2-minute warning, another fantastic finish. Well, Mr. Nelson will have a tougher time than the rest of his teammates in savoring this victory.
Yeah, well,
realistically, it may represent his ticket out of town.
we'll consider that last little shot of him an ad for employment.
Ferguson fires. And intercepted by Johnny Johnson again. Johnson to the 35, to the 30, and he may go all the way. He's to the 10, and he dives in. No flag. Interceptions thrown by Ferguson, all in the second half. Johnson has 2 of them, and he brought this one back 60 yards for a touchdown.
That's the high water mark for Joe Ferguson for the 1983 season. 5 interceptions in 1 game.
Earlier in this quarter, it was a 24-14 game with Buffalo inside the Ram 10, so a chance to move to within 3. Now it's about to become 41-17. Buffalo had to settle for a field goal on that occasion, and the Rams have dominated since then, 41-17.
One of the disheartening things for the Buffalo Bills, it's not really been a turnover team so far this season. Coming into this game, Ferguson had only thrown 17 interceptions and had only lost 6 fumbles. They've had a month worth of turnovers today.
And Booker Moore hit him at about the 5, but Johnson was determined to get in, and with that dive, he made it. For an update, see what's going on somewhere else. Take it in New York.
All right, Bob Costas, somewhere else is Seattle. A wild one there. Look at Dave Craig. Runs up from the pocket, throws to Paul Johns. Nice play, 14 yards with 2 minutes left. 45-42 Seattle. Back to you, Bob.
Wow.
There have been some wild games on this weekend's NFL card. Lansford, another low kickoff. Talley was thinking about a lateral. There was nobody there, so now he pitches it to Riddick. And Riddick, looking for the Stanford band, pitches it back to somebody else at the 45.
No, this is not rugby, and chances of that ever happening again pretty remote, but you can't blame them for trying. Talley on the scrum.
Such an unpleasant sounding term, isn't
That's
it?
what it's called, though.
Well, we've got 1:27 left. That's finally Tom Lynch who says, we must end this nonsense. And here's Matt Koffler. What a nightmare of a second half for Ferguson. Koffler, with a nice clean uniform, has the completion to Riddick. Riddick trying to get out of bounds, but can't. Down at the 31. As we tell you that the executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman, the coordinating producer of NFL football on NBC is Ted Nathanson. The telecast of today's game from Anaheim, produced by Ken Edmondson, directed by Harry Coyle, technical director Ray Figelsi, and associate director Ray Bonassi. Koffler is now 2 for 2. That catch made by Julius Dawkins. 45 seconds left. And the ball at the 16. Timeout Buffalo. They have 1 left. Koffler for the year has thrown 3 touchdown passes, had 3 intercepted. 2 of the first 5 passes he threw upon entering the game last week against the Raiders, were picked off. But he came on to throw 2 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter, including one to Perry Tuttle on a 4th and 18 situation, as I recall it, which tied the game up very late, but the Raiders marched back and won it with the Chris Barr field goal.
Bob, in preparation for every ball game, the head coach sets out a game plan and you try to execute it. You've got plays that you'll run under any circumstance. And today, Buffalo could not get to their bread and butter offense. They just simply could not establish anything, and it put an awful lot of pressure on the passing game. And Ferguson, that second half, is not one that he wants to remember. Joe takes it hard, too. One of the greatest competitors you'll find in the game today. He wants to win, and win badly.
Koeffler trying to make the final more respectable now in the last 45 seconds. Knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Greg Meisner gets a call, number 69. He smacked it down.
Watch Meisner get his hands up right in front of you. 69 realizes he can't get to the quarterback. Take a good goalie. Came up large on that one.
42 seconds left. Zinged into the end zone and almost intended for Rob Riddick. Vince Newsom had the coverage. The interception returned for a touchdown a few moments ago by Johnny Johnson represents the first points the Rams have gotten from their defense or special teams all season.
How about that? See, when you got Pittsburgh with what? 9 touchdowns or 7 touchdowns, I believe, by their defense. That's rather surprising.
From a 16. 41-17 Rams. Out Mr. Koeffler. An escape. Oh, you got to take the ball with you. And since he didn't, it belongs to Los Angeles.
No. They're going to call that a forward pass.
I thought he might have gone past the line of scrimmage, though.
They're going to call that a forward pass and just incomplete, which is amazing. I suppose we should have expected something like that. Basically, is the way things have gone for the Buffalo Bills today. He's trying to fake the linebacker so that he can run in, but he just lets loose of the ball.
Just about at the line of scrimmage with
That was
16.
illegal forward pass beyond the line. 5-yard penalty and a loss of a down.
Yeah, but you know what? There's no flag on the field anywhere. I think Ben Bright finally realized that he was past the line of scrimmage. You call it correctly.
So now it becomes 4th down and 15.
That's the illegal forward pass beyond the line. 5-yard penalty and a loss of a down.
The officials forgot where the original line of scrimmage was. The ball should be back at the 21, but it's kind of a moot point. So back to the 18 it goes.
Hunter.
And a leaping catch. No, he couldn't hold it. You called it, Trump. It was Hunter. He says, I had it. I made contact with the ground, and at that point the play's over. Touchdown. Give it to me. The official says, no, we can't do that. I'm sorry.
Vince Newsom on the coverage, although it was zone of 3 deep zone by the Los Angeles Rams. Hunter's dropped a couple in the end zone.
He has a touchdown and could have, with a little luck, had 3.
Correct. Well, with all the injuries this football team has had, trying to come up with a lineup every week is not generally the responsibility of a head coach. You don't hope for something like that, but These Buffalo Bills have been seriously, seriously hurt. And here's it's finally catching up to them.
Jeff Kemp is in at quarterback against the team which his dad was directed during some glorious years in the old American Football League. Atlanta, we're told, has beaten Green Bay in overtime 47-41, and Kansas City has scored to go ahead of Seattle 48-45, and we're going to go to New York very shortly and let Len Berman and the rest of our crew update you on what's happening around the league. Here, the final score, the Rams 41, Buffalo 17, Stevenson and Robinson shaking hands. The Rams go to 8-5, Buffalo to 7-6. Now stay tuned for NFL 83 after these messages.